So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto had went time travel and protect every women's in Konaha. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Iruka chuckled with his teeth showing and his eyes closed, while his hand was ruffling the little Naruto's hair. Naruto. You know you should watch what you eat, right? It might prove disadvantageous for you in the long run. The blonde fresh genin waved the comment away with a shake of his hand and started chomping down the ramen, making Iruka believe he would eat the bowl too, almost. After he finished one bowl, the little guy winked at his teacher. You know, you say those things every day, Iruka-sensei, but today, you sound different. Who are you? Waving his hands frantically, Iruka smiled and nervously started uttering. Don't be ridiculous, Naruto. It's me.
Naruto snorted loudly. I'm a genin now, you know. You can't fool a genin from Konaha that easily. Release your henge.
Really, to be honest, not even a Chunin would be able to see through me with this ability. The fake Iruka stated seriously. But then, I'm trying to imitate the one person you know the best. I figured I wouldn't be good enough to fool myself. Tucci, the owner of the ramen shop, had his back turned towards the duo and couldn't hear anything they were talking about over the sounds of boiling water. So, when he turned around, he was completely stupefied to see both Naruto and Iruka gone. Damn it. Not you too. Iruka, you two had better pay up next time I see you, came the old man's yell a second later. Ayame. Where are you? Aerial perspective prologue. Where are we? Who are you? What are you going to do, fake Iruka-sensei?
Calm down, you little brat. Damn, I never knew it was this noisy. The Chunin muttered as he was dragging Naruto with him. Don't worry, I'm on your side.
Naruto roughly pushed the older man's hand away from his sleeve and glared up at him. What makes you think I believe you? He yelled again. Iruka glared right back and then grinned a second later. Very well, Naruto.
What happened next astounded Naruto greatly. Iruka-sensei slowly but surely changed into someone else. Someone who looked a lot like his idol, the Yondaime Hokage. What? Where before the Konoha Chunin Yumino Iruka stood, now a man with a black cloak with dark red flames on the ends of the sleeves and the cloak itself was standing. I'm you, about 30 years from now. A bit more, but who the hell cares? I came to warn you, against orders from my comrades. Me, you're me, that's impossible, I have comrades. Wait, you're lying, you can't be me, who do you think you're fooling? The great Uzumaki Naruto, dream on, me wannabe. The little Naruto laughed as he pointed at the taller Naruto. You should have tried this in the morning, mister.
The taller man actually chuckled at that, but sighed before he started talking again. I'm doing something that has never been done before. I truly am from the future. Right now, I've brought you back to my time. I currently enjoy the rank Nide Mizukage. I am 48 years old, but still look like I'm 23. What's an Azukage? It means I am the leader of Whirlpool Country, Naruto. That proves it. A future me would definitely become Hokage, leader and protector of Konoha. You're a fraud. I can see right through you. Naruto shouted as he, again, rudely pointed his finger in the future Naruto's face.
Well, you don't have to believe me. You just have to listen to me. The older one stated as he pushed the offending index finger away. Naruto, I'm going to train you, make you stronger so you can make a difference. The future right now isn't as bright as we want it to be. Your real problems start when the Kyuubi inside of you is no longer watching your back and front.
You know about the Kyuubi? Who are you? Future Naruto sighed. I told you. I am you 36 years from now. I have mastered many things no shinobi has ever mastered. Time traveling is one of those. I told you. I don't believe you. I'm just going to call you fake me, or fake Naruto. There's only one Naruto-sama. And that's me. He pointed his finger against his own chest. You can try as hard as you want, but you won't be me. The Azukage shrugged. I guess you're right, I'm not you. But then, you will be me, someday. I simply was you. How about some proof, then? I know for a fact that you only have 3 orange jumpsuits and that you have to wash them every day.
I also know you're completely in love with Haruno Sakura. I know you want to have friends, but no one wants to be friends with you. I know you've cried yesterday night, when Mizuki attacked you and Iruka-sensei. Before that, you haven't cried since you were 5 years old. A sigh, before he decided to continue. I know you want to beat Uchiha Sasuke so you can show the entire academy that you're not a dead last. And the most important thing, I know what happens to you every single night.
At that, The younger Naruto's eyes widened. You can't. Future Naruto nodded his head sympathetically. I know, Naruto, it's a side effect of the Shikifuin being used on you. But, I've created a seal to speed up the process. Little Naruto frowned, not understanding at all. Every night, for a full hour, you go through excruciating pain, starting from your stomach, your seal, and ending with your brain, the one thing that controls your entire body. What's actually happening is a chakra collision. Your chakra, the Kyuubi's chakra and the Shikifuin's chakra left on the seal on your stomach by the Yondaime Hokage. I have no idea what you're talking about, mister, but do you mind just taking me back home? You're creepy. A chuckle came as response. That's what I would say too, yeah, but I'm telling you the truth. You have to believe me. If you do, then maybe, we can save a lot of shinobi in a lot of villages. Your real genin exam starts tomorrow, right? With Hitaki Kakashi as your Chunin instructor. PF, everyone knows that already. Don't think you can convince me just like that. From the future, yeah right. Man, I was a real piece of work back in my younger days. The older blonde simply shook his head with a grin plastered on his face. We're going to train for 4 months. After that, my time will be up and all will be left in your hands. 4 months? Are you crazy? I'm a busy guy, I'm a genin now, I'm going to have missions. No worries, I'll teleport you back just in time for your genin examination. I want to make sure you don't need any training anymore before you go back. So, where are you taking me now, then? Fukasaku, we'll start with the easiest training. 4 months later, Namikaze-sensei, how come you were the leader of Whirlpool and not Leaf? Future Naruto slightly dropped his head. Because Konaha was destroyed. I want you to make sure that doesn't happen, can you do that? The younger blonde smiled sadly. I will, I'll make sure we're going to have a better future. With this, he took a look at his own hands. I'll destroy everyone. Back at the present, I have with me 2 bells. These bells are your objective. Capture these in your genin straight away. You have until sunset. If you have no bell, you're going back to the academy and can try again next year. Understood? But there are only 2 bells, sensei, the pink-haired 13-year-old genin asked. The copy ninja tilted his head and grinned behind his mask. Yup, there are. Very observant of you, Haruno Sakura. The Uchiha Avenger standing next to her, snorted. So one of us will fail, anyway? It definitely won't be me. Sasuke thought as he quickly hid himself in the bushes. Sakura followed suit, while Naruto was frowning at the famous Hitaki Kakashi. I wish future me had told me what this test was about, damn it. You're a bit off, Uzumaki Naruto-kun. Kakashi let out as he stared at the short genin. The only thing that's a bit off is your hairdo, Naruto shouted. I'm not allowed to reveal too much, so I might as well sit this one out until I know what to do with this weird guy. Kakashi double-checked his vision as he saw Naruto hide as well. Strange, I expected him to rush at me immediately. Perhaps he's not the hothead Hokage-sama told me he was, and then, his mind realized another thing. His clothes, they were special, weren't they? The copy ninja's eyes suddenly widened. I can't sense Naruto. Sasuke and Sakura are easy to locate, but, how strange. Doesn't matter, I guess I'll have to smell him out. The Chunin thought as he focused chakra to his nose. Ah, there he is. Tilting his head back down as to indicate he was not worried about anything, he pulled out a book from one of his many pockets and started reading. You know, if you don't come at me with intent to kill, you won't get these bells. He spoke out loud as he chuckled strangely at a picture in the book he was reading. Half a mile away from Kakashi's position, Naruto wasn't even thinking about the test, but more about what his future self had told him. Certain events scared him, but he promised he would do anything in his might to prevent all of them. He had just returned from the future 3 hours ago and watched his future self die right in front of his eyes. At the same time, future Naruto's last warning came to mind. This is what happens when you time travel too much, Naruto, your body just can't handle the space. I'll find a way to perfect it, Namikaze-sensei, Naruto thought to himself. I'll find a way to perfect everything. Turning his attention back to his current objective, Naruto decided to get closer to his Chunin instructor again, only to see Sasuke buried in the ground, with just his head sticking out. Now that's funny, Naruto chuckled inwardly. All of a sudden, a female scream came from his right and Naruto dashed towards the location in awesome speed. That was Sakura-chan. Observing from a bit further away, a certain eye narrowed. That's too fast. Hokage-sama hasn't told me Naruto was that quick, Kakashi thought as he followed after Naruto. Landing on the ground before an unconscious Sakura, Naruto sighed in relief. No harm comes to Sakura-chan, he declared in thoughts. She was caught in genjutsu, he murmured, only to widen his own eyes at the sudden presence of his new teacher behind him. Kakashi-sensei? Question. The Sharingan wielder started. How come you know a genjutsu was used on her? Lucky guess? Naruto nervously uttered. Lesson 3. Taijutsu. The blonde gritted his teeth as he was smashed into a tree by the kick he received in the stomach. He quickly jumped up and looked around, only to find out Kakashi was gone. Quick recovery time, Naruto. You're not too shabby. Came a voice from all around him. He's better than I thought. If I can beat Kakashi, I get a bell, but Namikaze-sensei told me I would be in a team with Sasuke and Sakura-chan. Besides that, I'm a long way from beating Kakashi if I can't use my kinjutsu, he thought to himself. I'll have to continue my training after this. Kakashi, up in the trees, smiled to himself as Naruto went into hiding again. He's supposed to be looking for me, but he won't stop hiding. Very unlike the character that was described to me. If one could be provoked, it would have been you, Naruto. What doesn't make sense here? Sasuke was panting as he had finally managed to get himself out of the ground. Damn that Kakashi, he's gonna pay for this. He calmed down and took a look at his surroundings. Sakura and that Dobi haven't done anything yet, but then again, even if they do, they'll achieve completely nothing. It's up to me to finish this. You're up and about again, Sasuke? Came the lazy voice of his future Chunin instructor. I almost forgot about you. Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu. The Uchiha breathed out, but the copy nin easily sidestepped the fireball. This time, his hands fell on his knees after using the technique. Out of chakra. Sasuke? You shouldn't pour too much chakra in a technique that's bound to miss your opponent. If anything, you should have used too little and make it into a diversion. Shut up. The raven-haired boy shouted out. Just watch, he said as he performed hand seals again. This time, Kakashi appeared behind him and had the Uchiha's right hand locked in his left. That would have been lights out, Sasuke. You definitely need control. But you sure don't lack motivation to hurt me. He grinned. His temper is quite worrisome. Yo, sensei. Let go of him. Kakashi glanced sideways to see 5 Narutos running towards him. Kage Bunshin, huh? Impressive for a genin, but it won't work. The gray-haired veteran slammed all 5 shadow clones down in the blink of an eye, before he realized none of them were the real Naruto. Many kunai and shuriken came flying towards him as soon as he did. Kage shuriken and Kage kunai. I didn't know he could do that. The copycat wondered as he vanished and appeared a few meters to the right. Watching the many kunai and shuriken make impacts on the ground he stood before. I can't sense him, I can only smell him and... Kakashi's eye narrowed. This is impossible for a genin. I should be able to hear his movements. This means I have to rely on my nose to locate Naruto. A short distance away, one Haruno Sakura awakened. Where am I? We're on a training ground. I don't know which one this is, came an answer from above. The pink-haired girl looked up to see Naruto standing on a tree branch. I don't know what to do, Sakura-chan. Kakashi-sensei is a lot stronger than us. Naruto. Leave me alone. Where is Sasuke-kun? Was the immediate and harsh reply out of the pinkhead's mouth. The blonde knucklehead sighed and pointed his finger in a direction in front of him. Sasuke's out of chakra. He can't do anything right now. Shut up, Naruto. Sasuke-kun can always do something. He's the number 1 in our class, you idiot. Naruto looked dumbfounded as Sakura ran in Sasuke's direction. Okay. Naruto scratched the back of his head. I never knew Sakura had so little chakra in her, he wondered out loud. Sakura. Back in the land of the living. How was your little nightmare? Kakashi asked as he flipped a page. Behind him, Sasuke was panting. The Chunin was humiliating Sasuke even further by turning his back towards him. Perhaps you have a bit more fight in you than Sasuke has? That's impossible. No one has more fight in him than Sasuke-kun has, Sakura yelled. I don't think I have to stop reading for this, Kakashi deadpanned. Come at me, Sakura. Sakura rushed forward, making Kakashi frown. How sloppy, she runs so slowly, holds no weapon in her hands, is not gathering any chakra or making any hand seals, and she's so emotional. Hearing movement from behind as well. Kakashi vanished just in time to make Sakura collapse right into Sasuke, who was just about to attack the Chunin from behind. Sasuke-kun, I'm sorry, get off of me. Sasuke roughly pushed Sakura off of him.
Stay out of this, you're way too weak.
Taking one step away from Sakura, Sasuke started panting again. Shit, why am I so tired? Sasuke-kun? Are you alright? Sakura rose from the ground and hesitantly approached the Uchiha. Sasuke-kun?
Sasuke-tem. Both Sakura and Sasuke turned their heads to see Naruto behind them. You don't look so good, he exclaimed loudly.
Be quiet, you dobi. I haven't seen you try anything yet, the Uchiha reacted. Naruto shrugged. I will, I guess, as if, Naruto. If Sasuke-kun won't succeed, you won't either. Kakashi frowned as he saw the trio standing together. Somehow, they look funny when they stand close to each other like that. Now then, I wonder how Naruto will fight me. His speed and stealth is on a very high level. And then, his eye widened. That's impossible, when did he? Naruto grinned to himself. You said anything goes, Kakashi-sensei. You were too busy watching Sakura and Sasuke to notice me right next to you. Right next to me? The copy nin wondered. How? In the blonde's right hand, were two bells dangling. I'm a genin now, straight away. I'm giving this other bell to both Sakura and Sasuke, so they both can be in my team, he decided. Time to train your new team, sensei. Sasuke and Sakura both looked like dead fish as they were staring at the bells in Naruto's hands. Hokage-sama. The old man averted his gaze from the papers on his desk to the former Anbu captain in front of him. What is it, Kakashi? I have a report on my genin examination. Haruno Sakura, Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke have all passed. Within the hour. He spoke with definite suspicion in his voice. Something strange happened. I regret to inform you that I did not have my Sharingan activated to know what actually and exactly happened. Elaborate further, Kakashi. The third ordered as he rose from his seat. I can tell you're a bit upset. This must be something serious. Kakashi bowed shortly. Haruno Sakura has performed below average, but holds promise if guided properly. Uchiha Sasuke is above the average genin already, although he needs to be set straight in certain cases. Uzumaki Naruto, however, he has shown almost nothing but more than the other two. The third chuckled. Almost nothing? So Sakura and Sasuke are less than almost nothing? Hokage-sama. Naruto's strong, stronger than you've told me. Of course he is. He surpasses every opinion, that's just what he does. Remember that, Kakashi. Kakashi stared hard at the Sandaime, only to sigh. Understood, Hokage-sama. If anything, I'm sure I'll be enjoying teaching this team.
Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai-sensei. Who the hell is Kurenai-sensei, anyway? Naruto muttered to himself as he was walking through the streets of the village. Namikaze-sensei told me to find her as soon as I could, but couldn't he have told me what she looked like?
Oi, if it isn't Naruto, what brings you out here so late?
Naruto looked up from the ground and his pondering to see Shikamaru and an old guy looking like the former. Shikamaru.
This is my father. Shikamaru lazily explained as he saw Naruto gaze at the older man. He's drunk, obviously. My mother forced me to drag him back home. Managed to make me deaf on one side in the process, he said as he rubbed his right ear. So, you haven't answered the question, Naruto. Huh? What question? The younger Nara slapped his forehead. As troublesome as always, huh, Naruto? What are you doing out so late? I already told you my reasons. Naruto seemed in deep thought. I'm looking for this woman named Kurenai-sensei? Maybe you can help me? The black-haired genius Ganabe shook his head. The name sounds familiar, but I can't help you.
You're looking for Kurenai. The older Nara suddenly slurred. Haha, a young brat like you, looking for the cutest woman of Konaha.
Hey, you said mom was the cutest, Shikamaru suddenly interjected.
I say that when she's around, son. Shikaku immediately reacted. But Kurenai, you might find her at a training ground this time around. Heard she was training a fresh genin team this year. Shikamaru frowned. That's right, she's the Chunin instructor of Kiba and the two silent ones of our class.
Silent ones? Naruto asked. Who are they? Hyuga Hinata and Aburame Shino. Obviously. Sheesh, Naruto, you never pay attention, do you? He then started dragging his father again. See you around, you bothersome guy. The shadow user half yelled over his shoulder. Naruto simply stared. He really is a strange guy, that Shikamaru. What's wrong, Hinata? Someone's approaching us, Kurenai-sensei. But, this person doesn't seem to be having any chakra. My bugs tell me they are confused. Yuhi Kurenai tried to sense any shinobi or villager in the area, but found none. Even a villager lets out some chakra presence. Hinata, you can see him. The blue-haired girl nodded her head as she had her Byakugan activated. Why yes. The black-haired Chunin frowned at Hinata's reaction. A relative, maybe? Her father, perhaps? I can smell him. It's that dead last, Naruto. I can recognize that horrible smell anytime, anywhere. Kiba shouted, as always. Let's continue, already. That guy's worth nothing, anyway. Peculiar. Before, my buds always seemed agitated whenever Naruto-san is around, but now, he doesn't seem to have a chakra presence. What has happened to him? Shino wondered and turned to his instructor. Can you sense him, Kurenai-sensei? It's not like it matters, Shino. That guy had so little chakra, having nothing is just about equal. The Inuzuka chuckled at his own joke. We've wasted enough time talking about him already. Something's wrong, Kiba. Kurenai suddenly and very seriously stated. To emit no chakra at all, you have to be either dead or extremely skilled. As in, Chunin level. Shino's eyes narrowed behind his glasses. I see. He seems to be. Shino, Kiba and Kurenai turned to the stuttering Hinata, who was also blushing a bit. He seems to be calling your name, Kurenai-sensei. That's odd, I've never talked to Uzumaki Naruto before. Are you sure he's not looking for any of you free? Kurenai asked.
Hey, that idiot has no friends, so he automatically has no one to look for, Kurenai-sensei. Kiba laughed. I mean, no one ever talks to him. He always talks to everyone, but we all just ignore his annoying sounds.
Kiba. Kurenai sternly started. You're saying he has no friends and are laughing about it? That's harsh.
And then, all of a sudden, Naruto was standing behind Hinata, whose eyes widened even further. She deactivated her Byakugan and turned around swiftly to see Naruto grin at her. Yo, Hinata, can you help me find Kurenai-sensei?
Kurenai's eyes narrowed dangerously. Still no signs of any chakra, but that speed was too fast for a genin. She then took a look at his clothes. Completely black. Black gloves, black belt, black t-shirt, black pants, black sandals, black hite-8, and a black symbol on his belt. The symbol meant, Uzumaki?
I am Yuhi Kurenai. You must be Uzumaki Naruto. Can I help you? Kurenai started, still trying to figure out why she couldn't sense him when he was just standing in front of her.
Yes. The blonde genin bowed. I must learn how to use and defend against genjutsu. It is my weakness. He was still bowing when Kurenai nodded her head and a gentle smile appeared on her face.
Your weakness, you say? Kiba started. Man, if I could make a list of your weaknesses, I think I'll be making the thickest book there is. Shino kept silent, while Hinata was fidgeting, obviously feeling uncomfortable. No, Kiba, you must learn from this. Naruto-kun has confirmed his weaknesses and has come to me for aid. It takes guts to confirm your own weaknesses. She then faced Naruto. But I'm afraid I have to disappoint. I have my own team and if I'm not mistaken, Kakashi is your teacher now. He can help you with genjutsu as well.
Naruto shook his head instantly. But you're better than him in genjutsu. Please help me, he bowed.
The Chunin didn't know how to react to the sudden praise. It doesn't happen often that someone tells you you're better than the famous copy ninja. Not often at all. Well, even if that's true, I still won't be able to help you.
Hey, man. Leave our sensei alone, Naruto, Kiba yelled, she's ours. Naruto gazed at Kiba and then back at Kurenai, remembering what his future self had told him.
Some people just won't help you because of what's inside you, Naruto, but just ignore those people. There are more ways than one to get where you want to go. A sudden memory came to mind at the rejection he felt. Namikaze-sensei told him this once. Kurenai held in a cringe as Naruto suddenly glared at her. But it was no anger that he was directing at her. It was more disappointment and blame. Fine. The blonde muttered darkly as he turned away. Why is she so afraid of you? Sasuke had his arms folded over one another and didn't seem to care about his surroundings. Really? Chasing stupid cats and fixing pointless fences, ridiculous.
I don't know, so strange, Naruto answered as he stared at the shivering cat in front of them. Kakashi, we've captured the cat. Sasuke suddenly stated. We can go back now, it wasn't a question at all. Naruto shrugged himself away from the cat as Sakura picked her up. Let's go back, she said.
Naruto was sitting on a tree branch, reading a book and chuckling occasionally. On the ground, leaning against the same tree, was Sasuke, pretending to be asleep so the girl in front of him, Sakura wouldn't talk to him. Hey, Kakashi's always late. Thank God I was able to buy this book.
Naruto. Don't you think you're a bit too young for that book? The blonde shut the book and grinned upwards, right into the face of Kakashi. I have no parents telling what not to do, Kakashi-sensei. That doesn't mean you can do anything you want, he replied as he jumped down and greeted his other two students. Alright, let's head for a mission, shall we?
As they were slowly walking through the village, Naruto started listing the techniques he knew and what his future self told him not to use if he could help it. No Fudan techniques, no Madden techniques, no Fuinjutsu, no Sage mode, no Fox mode, no Yukin, no Kinjutsu except for the Cage Bunshin, no over-the-top chakra techniques and, what were those others? Oh yeah, he told me last resorts are last resorts. Trump cards shouldn't ever be used. You have any objection against this? I was planning to give you another D rank 1, but with you as their sensei, I'm sure you'll be able to do a C rank now. The Hokage's voice came sudden as soon as he heard, C rank. Naruto's eyes widened gleefully as he stared at the old man in front of him.
Are you for real, old man? Was therefore his sudden and loud reaction. Naruto. Show some respect. Naruto blinked and just then noticed Iruka was sitting next to the third. He hadn't seen his former teacher for months. Well, the other way around, Iruka hadn't seen Naruto for days. Ah, sorry, Iruka-sensei. Naruto bowed, but seriously, this is awesome. Sasuke smirked. Finally, something better than picking weeds. C rank? Will we be alright? The remaining member of Team 7 thought. I hope Kakashi-sensei knows what he's doing. The mission is simple. Escort a bridge builder back to the wave. There shouldn't be any trouble doing this and I believe with you there, the client is very lucky. The Hokage said as he looked at Kakashi. Good luck, Team 7. Kakashi-sensei, you guys go on ahead, I need to ask the old man something, Naruto said as his team had already turned for the door.
Naruto, respect, remember, came Iruka's voice again, little brat.
Naruto chuckled nervously. Right, Hokage-sama. The Sandame simply smiled. Can I help you, Naruto? I need help with Genjutsu. I've already asked Kurenai-sensei, but she said she has no time. It amazed the third that the blonde genin was actually bowing. I know no one else. I'm surprised you know Kurenai is talented with Genjutsu, but I'm even more surprised to see you interested in it. He paused to see no reaction from Naruto. To be very honest, Naruto, you are not the type for Genjutsu. Exactly. Naruto's head rose from the bowed position. I'm completely helpless when it's used against me. The third's eyes narrowed a bit. You're awfully bright today, aren't you? You have a point by saying it's your weakness. There are many Genjutsu wielders in Konaha, but only few can teach it to others. Besides Kurenai, there are. Naruto and Iruka watched as the third was thinking. 4. Naruto nodded his head, hoping he would get some names now. And indeed, the third granted his wish. 2 of them might be able to work with your special chakra situation. Mitarashi Anko and Azuki Yugo. They're both very busy, so I'll ask if they feel like helping a genin when I see them. You won't look for them, understood? Naruto swallowed nervously at how serious the old man was about this. Yes. Namikaze Naruto looked at the younger version of himself and couldn't help but remember how his own reaction to this particular food was quite the same. Naruto. This food actually makes it harder for you to concentrate your chakra. Deal with the horrible taste and you'll find yourself progressing a lot quicker than you'd normally do in training. Now, create 200 shadow clones. Sensei. A hand seal later, and the clearing couldn't really be called a clearing anymore. Now, you'll work on gathering Sage Chakra with 100 clones, while the other 100 clones will prevent you from turning into a toad. So, there will be 100 Cage Bunshin holding the tool. Fukasaku usually uses this to stop the toad transformation. Next to his ankle, an aged toad chuckled. Interesting. I knew you would come up with something diabolical, Naruto-chan. Even though it's so obvious, Fukasaku looked up at the near to 50-year-old Naruto. Thanks to these, we can keep on going without any rest. I've had these especially made for me me. Naruto said as he pointed at his younger self. Sakura perfected these 2 pills for me and they work against the effects of the Cage Bunshin and chakra depletion. It is refreshing to see you try so hard again. The old toad commented as he observed the small Naruto in front of them. Of all of the people who have come here, you and Jiraiya were ultimately the only ones capable of using the Sage Chakra. Now that I've finally seen the third, it's just you again. The Azukage chuckled shortly. Fukasaku Shisho, after this, we'll have to work on his Yukin and Madden techniques. Only after he has mastered the Sage Chakra, will he be able to do these. Won't it be wiser to work on his Fuden and Fuinjutsu first? The older blonde shook his head. No, as I've realized, Fuinjutsu came naturally to me as soon I worked on it. I will leave him with the basics. I will show him all of my Fuden techniques, and he'll be able to improve on them, knowing myself.
You're turning him into a sage at age 13, Naruto-chan.
Fukasaku raised an eyebrow at Naruto, who wore a big smile as he looked down at him. Well, I've always wanted myself to be really strong. And, I've always liked myself. Well, we deserve it. As long as you also tell him of every risk that comes with every technique. Of course. Aerial Perspective Chapter 1. Start revealing. Fuden. Rasen Shuriken no Jutsu. Holy, he didn't know what to say as he watched his future self perform such a humongous and awesome and, well, everything kinda jutsu. As the technique died down, the Azukage turned to him and grinned at the unbridled enthusiasm. This is currently one of my weakest Fuden techniques, Naruto. You're in for a wild ride. Oh hell yeah. His scream echoed as both him and the older Naruto were standing in a crate half the size of Konaha. So, if you can time travel like that, why don't you just go back in time and kill the ones responsible for what happened to Konaha? It's not that simple. The people having done this don't know they're going to, in the past. In fact, there are a few who were even forced to do bad things, because others didn't have the power to do it. So good people have done bad things because they didn't know any better. Or even worse, someone outside of even my knowledge, threatened to kill precious people. He then hung his head down low. Allow me to give you a few names and a few hints, Naruto. The younger blonde nodded eagerly. Uchiha Madara. He will threaten someone close to you in order for you to do something for him. Something he himself is incapable of because he doesn't have the chakra to do it. I know you're young and most of the things I'm saying probably mean question marks for you, so I've also written down a lot in a blood scroll only able to see for our eyes. Hey, not even a relative can see it. Not that we have any. Naruto nodded, with a frown. He truly didn't understand everything he had just heard, but it was written down, so. Uchiha Sasuke. He is someone who needs help. His eyes are being held in the wrong direction by the people around him. I want you to set him straight. You'll understand once you really get to know him. Uchiha Sasuke. Man. That bastard really is that big of a deal even in your life? This much in the future? That sucks, the little boy whined loudly. There are many more, but these two are probably the most bothersome. Be careful whenever you encounter this Uchiha Madara. He narrows his eyes as he looked at the smaller Naruto. The first time you encounter him, he will wear an orange mask. Do not hesitate to kill him. His narrowed eyes also held warning, for a brief moment. Some piece of advice, Naruto. While it is very important to make friends and have comrades, you should know that your enemies will hurt them to hurt you. It might want to make you make less friends, but, friends are what give you true power. Through them you gain something that no training will ever give you. He got a frown for that. Faith, Naruto. With your friend's faith, you'll find yourself with power you never knew you had. He then narrowed his eyes. I will call out a few names, and I want you to make them your allies. Remember these names well, Naruto. The chakra amount being channeled through those fingers was ridiculous. This was going through Fukasaku's head as he was watching Naruto show his past version a demonic technique. This will definitely upset Ma. Yukin. Tateru no Yoma. Where before stood a big mountain, now was a pile of massive rocks. Little Naruto fell on his butt as he saw the effect of Namikaze-sensei's technique, the demonic tail whip. Understand, Naruto, there are two styles. The Ninpo and the Kenpo style. Almost every shinobi out there uses the Ninpo style, Naruto. There are dozens upon dozens of techniques under the Kenpo style. And believe me, you're going to master all of them. Yukin, however, is a technique only Jinchuriki can master. He grinned at the look on Naruto's face. Complete bedazzlement. Here, let me show you the next. Yukin. Macher no Yoma. Back to present, Yukin techniques and Madden techniques are so impossible. Naruto gritted his teeth as he was walking behind Sakura and Tazuna. He was the rear. And Namikaze-sensei told me not to use those pills before I would meet this person named Senju Tsunade. I'm going to ask the old man as soon as I get back just who the hell that is, then I can continue Namikaze-sensei's training, he inwardly grumbled. Well, at least I've been given Ego Kaiki, but sensei told me about 3 others, but I forgot their names. He shrugged. Are we there yet? He voiced out of the blue. An exclamation mark popped out of nowhere besides Naruto's head as his pink-haired teammate decided to turn to him rapidly and scream out. "Shut up, Naruto. Just keep quiet like you've been the entire time." The blonde moped momentarily, until his senses screamed to him that something was wrong around him. What? Before his eyes, his Chunin instructor got ripped to shreds. Hey, wait a minute, he used Kawarimi. He frowned to himself. How come I could see that? I'm so stupid, that guy was really slow, actually, HMPH. Besides, Namikaze-sensei would have surely told me if Kakashi-sensei would be killed or not, right? Naruto. Pay attention. Sakura screeched, bringing him back to reality.
Ah shit, Naruto cursed as he jumped backwards in a speed his assailant couldn't keep up with, so the attack missed by quite a lot.
Meanwhile, Sasuke had pinned a chain wielded by the attackers to a tree with a kunai and was actually grinning as he stood in front of Sakura and Tazuna. Finally something interesting. The young Jinchuriki observed the two enemies and saw that they attacked with chains and claws, tipped with poison. Both of the enemies were running for Sakura-chan, by the way. Oh, and Tazuna and the bastard, he added as a side note. Oh no, you won't? The blonde yelled as he rushed forward in a speed he hadn't used before. Therefore, he crashed into Kakashi, who was just about to headlock both the demon brothers. Sasuke, Sakura and Tazuna looked shocked to see all four of them sprawled on the floor. Being the first to recover from the sudden occurrence, Kakashi held a kunai to both enemies and sighed, "It's over." Naruto picked himself up and scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. "I'm sorry, sensei." An hour later, Team 7 gained a better look on the mission thanks to the explanation given to them by Tazuna, the bridge builder. Apparently, a rich guy named Gato was going to kill him. That's all Naruto understood from the entire story. Nay, sensei. Can you teach me any Fudan techniques?" he yelled loudly. Fudan. The Sharingan wielder thought to himself. Why would he want to learn wind techniques? Also, his thoughts wandered back to how fast he was back in the situation with the demon brothers. He's definitely not what he appears to be. Is this the Kyuubi's doing, perhaps? Is his body adjusting to it, somewhat? "I'm sorry, Naruto. I don't know any Fudan jutsu." The copy nin replied as if he wasn't in thought at all. "But I'll be teaching all three of you something far more interesting," he let out cheerfully. Weird cheerfully. And then his demeanor changed. "Everybody, duck. I'm sorry, Naruto, for you to witness this, Namikaze-sensei. I thought my limit was 4, but, apparently, it was 3. Such a surprise, a cold voice let out indifferently. "Hitaki Kakashi, copycat ninja who wields about 1,000 techniques. I think that might be a bit exaggerated, but I'll test the rumor." Kakashi first checked if his students and client were all alright, before he looked up into the face of one. "Ah, Momochi Zabuza. What a pleasure." Something clicked in Naruto's head all of a sudden. Remember these names well, Naruto. Naruto remembered his future self telling him. "Let's see, the liver, the stomach, the Zabuza. Who dares to interrupt me?" Zabuza boomed as he looked down to one of Kakashi's students. "You brat, you will be the first to fall." The demon of the mist readied himself and Kakashi prepared to intercept when. "Where is Haku?" Zabuza nearly fell off of his own sword, which was stuck in the 3 he had swung it in. "I am possible. This kid, he knows Haku. A Konaha genin knows Haku?" "Naruto, be quiet. Leave this one to me. He's far too much for you to handle right now. This will require." His students watched as the copycat revealed his copier. "Ah, the famous Sharingan, I get to see it, already?" came the cold voice again. "Momochi Zabuza and Haku. These two are traveling together and if I'm not mistaken, they can be your first 2 allies outside of Konaha. But remember, do not reveal that you know too much." Naruto's eyes widened. Shit. I shouldn't have yelled out to him. "Stay there," Kakashi ordered as he attacked Zabuza, who in turn, countered. "Time to stop pretending, right, Namikaze-sensei?" Naruto sighed and closed his eyes, while performing a hand seal. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." "What are you doing, Dobi?" his teammate asked, glaring at the sudden appearance of 4 shadow clones, who were surrounding Sasuke, Sakura and Tazuna. His eyes widened as the 4 Kage Bunshin started performing hand seals. What is he up to? Kenpo. Fuinjutsu. Shishi Engine. All 4 the clones yelled out. To Sakura's, Sasuke's and Tazuna's amazement a purple barrier materialized around them. "Don't touch it, guys." The real Naruto warned, as he started heading for Kakashi and Zabuza. "That thing will burn you to death." Meanwhile, The 4 shadow clones were holding up the barrier. Suddenly, Kakashi appeared beside the real Naruto, staring sternly at him, while also keeping Zabuza in his vision. Listen to what he says, Sakura, Sasuke, Tazuna. This barrier is very dangerous. He then turned to Naruto. You will explain to me how you know this technique after this. I will back you up, Kakashi-sensei, the blonde declared, ignoring Kakashi's request. The famous copy ninja shook his head. No, it's too dangerous. Zabuza will kill you easily. He's Chunin level. Leave this to me, Naruto. The young Uzumaki sighed as Kakashi went back in a taijutsu battle with Zabuza. Peculiar and very unlikely. Still, that barrier will keep them completely safe. Kakashi thought as he dodged a swing from Zabuza's blade with ease and retaliated with a swipe from his kunai, which was just as easily avoided. Naruto, the dead last, knows Fuinjutsu. It simply is impossible for a kid his age to know the difficulties. Still, he performed it perfectly. Even I can't do that technique. After a few blows through water clones, Kakashi found himself at the receiving end of a vicious kick from Zabuza, which sent him flying into the water. They had been fighting near a big pool. Shit, this is, Suiten, Suiro no Jutsu. Kakashi got cut from his thoughts as Zabuza finished his assessment. He got himself trapped in a water prison. Ah, the famous Hitaki Kakashi, caught in such a mediocre technique. How the mighty has fallen. The demon of the mist gloated. Now, the only way to destroy that annoying barrier is to kill a genin. This will be very hard. Zabuza sarcastically let out and chuckled. Okay, brat, time's up. Before Naruto could even register what was going on, he got cleaved in half from behind. The water clone smirked shortly, though, as the boy he had hit turned out to be a shadow clone. Cage Bunshin again. Such an annoying brat. Interesting, Kakashi. You seem to have at least one good student in your team. The real Zabuza commented. Let's see how he holds up against 10 of my water clones. The real Naruto was easily located by Zabuza and soon he was surrounded by 10 water clones. Hey! Watch this. Kenpo. Rengoken. Kuasui no Jutsu. What? Both Kakashi and Zabuza looked completely outraged as the water clones all completely dissolved into nothing around Naruto. What the hell did he do? I don't understand, the real Zabuza muttered. What was that technique?
Naruto simply chuckled and scratched the back of his head. Boy, it's as if I haven't used any chakra at all. He then turned serious and glared at Zabuza. Here we go. Playtime is over now. Zabuza growled as more water clones emerged from out of the water. His eyes widened, though, as Naruto rushed forward and sliced through all of his water clones with ease. This kid, he's no genin. Such speed.
Kakashi was also convinced that Naruto was keeping secrets. Not wanting to be an easy target, Zabuza jumped backwards and quickly performed some hand seals. Suiten. Suiryuden no Jutsu. With that, Naruto found himself an easy target for the water dragon blast. He got blown into a tree, but was saved from any more attacks as Kakashi had escaped from the water prison. So, it seems he has no damage at all from that attack just now. That's impossible, though. He didn't voice his thoughts. Nice work, Naruto, he said, before he glared at the angry Zabuza. Let me tell you, I won't fall for the same trick twice. What's going on? What kind of technique is this? Sasuke thought as he watched the purple barrier around him. What can you do, Naruto? That dead last knows some interesting techniques. Even though this thing is protecting me, I don't feel super safe. Tazuna muttered as he found the purple barrier a bit creepy. This thing was created by that little kid? Sakura nodded her head. I've never read about something like this. How come Naruto knows this? Could this be a Kekai Genkai of his?
Sasuke had been watching the 4 shadow clones in every corner intently. It seems those 4 clones can't move. If they do, this barrier will probably dissolve. If that's true, he had a kunai in his grasp and threw it at one of the clones. Let's see.
Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled, as the clone disappeared as soon as the kunai hit it, and with it, so did the barrier. Ah, I thought so. Sasuke grinned. Sorry, dead last, but I don't need protection.
He swallowed nervously and watched the world no longer through purple eyesight. The young raven-haired kid slowly started walking towards Naruto, while Kakashi and Zabuza were still butting heads with one another. Sakura stayed by his side. Ah, I hope this will turn out all right.
Don't worry, we'll protect you, Tazuna-san. He gave the pink-haired girl a smile, but not one that reached his eyes. What the hell did you do, bastard? That barrier was there to protect Tazuna. Not far from Tazuna and Sakura, Naruto was glaring daggers at Sasuke. Dobi, what was that technique? He asked and ignored the other's question.
Now's not the time, Sasuke. Kakashi-sensei might need our help. Naruto huffed and folded his arms. Geez, destroying my shadow clone like that. He then narrowed his eyes at Sasuke. I'll have to make those shadow clones protect themselves inside the barrier as well. How to do that, though?
After having witnessed the power of the Sharingan, for now at least the copying aspects, Team 7 watched how their teacher won the battle. It is over. Not making any move, he was surprised to suddenly see needles slam into him, with a Hunter Nin appearing beside Zabuza less than a second later. Konaha Shinobi. Kakashi couldn't tell whether the Hunter Nin was male or female, not by voice or by appearance, as the Hunter Nin had a mask. I thank you. I've been on the hunt for this criminal for a long time. Kenpo. Buseiken. Oitsumeru no Jutsu. Naruto performed another technique as he had appeared beside the Hunter Nin and Zabuza and had his hand on Zabuza's shoulder. The blonde then turned to the Hunter Nin. Did you kill him?
He watched the masked shinobi nod his or her head and then sighed. Damn it, I guess that jutsu won't work anyway, then.
What did he do? I did sense chakra from that technique, but I see no effects, Haku, the boy behind the mask, surmised. Well, then. I bid you farewell. Kakashi hopped down from the tree branch he was standing on and landed next to Naruto. Very strange, he just left, huh? He mumbled. Naruto, you and I need to. Naruto could barely catch Kakashi as he fell down from chakra exhaustion. Naruto. Wake up. URGHTUH. You, that's gross, you're drooling. Huh? Opening his eyes, he saw a big blurry field of pink in front of him. Blinking and squinting them finally gave way to a clear vision. Sakura-chan? Just get up, Naruto. Kakashi-sensei is awake and he wants to talk to all of us now. Hurry up, don't make Sasuke-kun wait any longer than this. She all but yelled into his ear, before she turned and left him on the floor of a unfamiliar room.
Where am I? Naruto asked himself as he rose from the floor and realized he had slept with his clothes on.
Let's see, I've encountered Momochi Zabuza, the first ally Namikaze-sensei told me about, but he's an enemy. How can he become my ally? Did Namikaze-sensei screw up or something? Well, he's dead now, anyway. Damn that Hunter Nin. After that, we had to carry Kakashi all the way here. This is, oh right. This is Tazuna's place. He didn't have any extra beds or us, so we had to sleep on the floor. Now I remember. I'm always a mess in the morning. Naruto, hurry up, coming. Well, we have some good news and some bad news. I'll start with the good. Kakashi started as he watched his 3 students before him. We're going to be training. A lot and hard. Prepare yourselves. Bad news, I'm not completely sure, but Zabuza might still be alive. Kakashi watched as Naruto's eyes widened. Is that true? I don't understand his reaction, the gray-haired Chunin thought as he nodded. Let's see about that, Naruto thought as he closed his eyes.
It was a technique taught to him by his future self, the Baosaikon, Oitsumeru no Jutsu. He had used it on Zabuza just before the Hunter Nin took him away. A tracking technique passed down to him by a guy called Jiraiya. He still didn't know who this Jiraiya was, but he knew that Namikaze-sensei respected him a lot. He had implanted just a tiny bit of chakra into one of Zabuza's chakra points. With that, he could track down his own chakra and find out where he could find a person. Normally, this technique is used on allies, to easily find them when they're in danger or missing. But it works this way, too. Naruto scratched the back of his head. He could sense his own chakra, which was pretty close, actually. But even if he did, the person might still be dead, or not. Never mind, Kakashi-sensei. I'm just fooling around. The remaining members of Team 7 sighed. Naruto, we need to talk about what you did back there. Sakura, Sasuke, could you both leave the two of us here for a short while? Actually, I'm interested as well, Kakashi. The Avenger responded. All of a sudden, this dead last shows techniques I've never seen before. Sakura quickly nodded her agreement. Yeah, I've never even come across things like that in any book I've read. I'm fairly sure I've already read all of the books in the library. So is it a bloodline limit? Sasuke, Sakura, this might be personal for Naruto himself. You two are his teammates, but I'm his sensei. I need to be able to teach him and I can't do that if I don't know anything about him. In time, he will tell you. But he will have to tell me now, without you two listening in. So please, I'll start training you in a few minutes. Sasuke sighed and turned away. Che, how annoying. Sakura simply followed after him, while shooting one last look of confusion over her shoulder at Naruto, who seemed awfully nervous as Kakashi stared him down. Now, mind telling me how you know Fuinjutsu? Are those other techniques you used? I have the Sharingan and I managed to copy one of your techniques somewhat, this Baosaikon, Oitsumuru no Jutsu. I've never heard of an element called Baosaikon before. Alright, this is what Namikaze-sensei warned me about. Someone asking me questions about how I know what I know. Now, what did he say I had to say again? Naruto thought to himself. Well, I came across a book called Kenpu, Kakashi-sensei. An eye dangerously narrowed. He's lying, there is no such book. And I started reading it. It turns out the book came from the Whirlpool country. Well, there were these techniques in there that were really awesome. All kinds of techniques that helped you protect your friends. I just had to learn them all. That way, I'd become a better Hokage than any ever before, right, Kakashi-sensei? Whirlpool, country, a coincidence. Kakashi tried to see past Naruto's nervous smile, but saw no ill intent at all. Naruto's a good guy, definitely. But, he then smiled behind his mask. When we return to Konaha, would you mind showing me this book?
Thank you, Namikaze-sensei. Naruto fake pouted. Well, one day after I got back from school I saw my entire room empty. Someone stole things from my home, while I was in school. Of course, he's the Kyuubi container and people out there really hate him. I feel sorry for him. Kakashi nodded his head. A good lie is an emotional one. He was told that anything that happened around him and everything that he would hear surrounding him would all make perfect sense if he would take the time to comprehend it. Throwing some wood down to keep the fire burning in the midst of their gathering, Naruto sat down as well.
I'm surprised. Tree walking went a lot quicker than I expected. I figured it would take more than a day, but you've proven me wrong. The lazy copycat told his team. Not only that, the three of you even mastered water walking today. I wonder what I can get you to do tomorrow.
A new jutsu sounds good to me, sensei. Naruto let out enthusiastically. My affinities at the moment are Fuden and Doden. Does Kakashi-sensei even know any of those? Well, I'll think about it. I'm heading out to sleep. I'll leave guard duty up to you three. Kakashi waved once and disappeared by usage of Shunshin. Naruto stared at his two teammates and didn't know what to actually think of them. Sure, he really liked Sakura, but all this stuff Namikaze-sensei told him about the future was really keeping him busy. They were really important, after all. He never did like Sasuke all that much, but since he was already a pain in the ass now and was only to be adding to it in the future, he might as well pay some attention to the Uchiha. Naruto. His eyes lifted up from the fire he was watching to gaze at Sakura. What is it, Sakura-chan? You talked with Kakashi-sensei, right? Well, Sasuke-kun and I actually want to know what about. The pinkhead informed. Yeah. Might as well start with how the hell Adobe could learn tree walking and water walking faster than us, inner Sakura raged. It wasn't important, we just talked about Konaha. Someone glared at him, he felt. The blonde turned his head slightly to receive the burning gaze of one Uchiha Sasuke. You're lying, Dobi. You used a strange technique back there and somehow you made 10 water clones disappear in 1 second. I want to know how you did that. He spat out as he stood from the ground to tower above Naruto. Well? Do you have a bloodline limit, Naruto? His female teammate voiced in between. I've never seen that barrier-type technique before. The son of the Yondaime sighed and scratched the top of his head, hoping he could somehow explain this without revealing too much. Well, I know Fuinjutsu a bit, I guess. The method of sealing. It's something my family specialized in. Your family? I thought you were, right. Sakura got cut off by Naruto. I don't have any family anymore. Just like Sasuke. A snort came from the Avenger, but Naruto simply continued. But they left me a few scrolls. One of them taught me about Fuinjutsu. What about the others? Sasuke asked. What was in them? They were empty. Naruto lied. He was lying about scrolls being there in first place, anyway. So, what else do you know? The Uchiha continued. Naruto looked Sasuke in the eye and smiled. Not that much. Not much at all. Aerial Perspective Chapter 2. An Eternal Assignment? Sakura was hanging upside down a tree branch, observing her two teammates underneath her. She had completely mastered this tree walking thing and it actually took her almost no chakra. Sasuke-kun. She thought as she stared at the Uchiha spewing fireballs out of his mouth at a random boulder. He's so strong. And he just keeps on getting stronger. Her gaze slightly moved away to see Naruto, simply sitting down on the ground and, is that idiot meditating? That's so impossible. A loud guy like Naruto, meditating. But still, the young Haruno frowned as she had to admit that Naruto was a lot stronger than she thought. He went all alone against that huge sword-wielding guy and didn't get hurt at all. He even helped Kakashi escape. Actually, Naruto, I never thought he would be hiding things. Kakashi was instructing Sasuke on how to more effectively use his fire techniques, while he told Sakura to keep on tree walking until she ran out of chakra. The point of this was to increase her chakra amount. Meanwhile, Naruto was communicating with the Kyuubi inside his mind. Foolish human, your future self has shown us our future and I was not in it. Not only have I been confronted with such impossible effect, you've allowed him to speed up the process by working on the seals. I hold nothing on my own any longer, and now you've come here to gloat? You should feel very lucky I am restricted in movement. My breath alone would have been enough to dispose of you while you're in front of this cage. The blonde little human sighed deeply, before he focused his serious gaze upon the fox demon. You can use the Nijushin, Kyuubi. Pathetic little bug, you obviously do not understand the limits of that technique, nor the requirements or the certain disappointment after its usage. Perhaps, we could do the Futagogakure no Jutsu? Or perhaps even better, the Fushi Tensai? Naruto grinned. What are you here for? Your presence annoys me greatly, Uzumaki Naruto. You act as if you want to release me. It is a task given to me by myself in the future. I have to kill you, not absorb you. I can't kill you in myself, because I would be killing me, too.
Dark, mocking laughter echoes all around him. For the first time, you're actually amusing me. You do realize that next to being invincible, I also happen to be quite immortal. You cannot kill me, weak garbage that you are. But fear not. No one can kill me, after all. You've come here to speak of such nonsense in front of me. Get out of here, already.
You don't understand. I have to, otherwise, my offspring. A shocking silence came as the Kyuubi fell into realization. Ah, I see. This puts me in a better position than before. Naruto glared at the Kyuubi, as the great fox lord stared down at him with a grin on its face. Tell me, Uzumaki Naruto, what are your future self's plans? He told me to release you and then kill you. With that, his children, no, our children, would live on. My chakra can deal with demonic chakra, but apparently I am the only one in all of existence who can. Not apparently, human. Your chakra had to adapt to mine as soon as I got sealed in you. The reason? A Shinigami never breaks an agreement, the Kyuubi let out with anger. Was your chakra not adapted the way it was now, the Shinigami would have not been able to seal myself inside of you when the Yondaime Hokage made the proposition. You would have died as soon as the sealing had started, was it not for the Shinigami altering your chakra. This way, the Shinigami held his end of the deal perfectly and made himself deserve a fine soul. Your father's. The Kyuubi paused to let that piece of information sink into the tiny blonde's head. So, now that your ignorance has slightly decreased, continue telling me of your plans.
So, the other Jinchuriki. I know not. I find myself uncaring in how other Biju have been sealed. But my guess is, they haven't been sealed by usage of the Shikifuin. So their chakra isn't as special as yours. Now, continue. The fox ordered. I am very interested in how you can make me use the Fushi Tensai. So, do not mention your plans with the Futagogakure, as that will never happen.
Fine, the young Uzumaki grumbled out. Since you can't take control of me, as that would mean certain death, well, he told me that other people could come to this place. Other humans? Here? The Kyuubi mused out loud. Perhaps he means the Uchiha. With their accursed eyes, it is possible they can pierce your mind and get to me. He then chuckled, making the grounds shake in fear. How ingenious. I did not expect you, or your future self to think of something so abysmal. Naruto closed his eyes and nodded his head. Yes, he wanted me to lure an Uchiha in here, so you can use the Fushi Tensai on him. Not only that, the Kyuubi added. He thought further ahead with this, and unfortunately, I will not fall for this. Naruto glared. You think I am ignorant, Uzumaki? No other body can handle my demonic chakra but yours. Should I fall for this and actually attempt to take over another body, it will mean my and the Uchiha's immediate death. So, the Kyuubi got cut off and he was not happy about it. Exactly. There's only one option and we both know it, Kyuubi. It's the Futagogakure. HMPH, that will never happen. Be gone, infuriating insect. You've taken too much of my time. The nine-tailed Biju let out with much annoyance in his voice. I would rather let myself get eviscerated by your fuinjutsu like as planned and take your offspring with me, than do this disgusting technique. Returning to land of the living, Naruto found himself under the curious gazes of his team. When you meditate, you sure go far away, Naruto? Kakashi smiled with a frown. I told you, I don't know any Kaden techniques. Those are simply impossible for me to do. Alright? What do you want? Naruto yelled. Geez, I never knew this bastard could be this annoying. Sasuke glared, his fists clenched tightly. Naruto, I know you know more than what you've shown us. You are the dead last, yet, you've learned tree walking faster than me. That is very, very unlikely. Tell me what you know. Look. What I know won't do you any good. The same goes the other way around. Besides, what is your chakra affinity, anyway? The blonde screeched, having about enough of Sasuke constantly forcing him to show techniques and whatnot. Sakura was already watching them, but Kakashi actually turned his head up from his Come Paradise book and stared at the two as well. Oh? Naruto knows of chakra affinities? Now I'm very sure he hasn't told me everything he knows. But then again, of course he didn't. He walked up to Sakura and put a hand on her shoulder. Sakura, follow me. Naruto has just given us something interesting to talk about. Sasuke's burning, but confused gaze moved from Naruto to the approaching other half of Team 7. HMPH. Perhaps Kakashi will tell us something I don't know for a change. Talking about affinities, Naruto. I think that's a bit too advanced for a genin to know of, but perhaps I should just explain. Do you know your affinity, Naruto? Kakashi questioned. After the blonde's nod, the copy nin continued, by giving all three of his students a piece of paper. Affinities, it's actually about which element you control at the moment. It can be fire, electricity, wind, water and earth. We'll find out about yours when you focus your chakra in that piece of paper. Sasuke's paper crumpled. Ah, Sasuke, your chakra affinity is electricity. The Uchiha frowned at the paper. He actually expected fire. Sakura's actually burned up, making Sasuke's head snap to hers. Obviously, yours is fire, Sakura. All of them turned to Naruto's, but nothing happened to his. Naruto, do you mind focusing chakra in it? The Chunin urged. A snort came as response, not what any of them expected. Nothing is happening. Kakashi revealed his Sharingan and watched the piece of paper in Naruto's hands. Indeed, he is channeling chakra in it, but what is happening? And then, the paper simply ceased to exist. It just vanished. Kakashi's eyes were widened at what he saw with his Sharingan. That was very similar to, but it's impossible. Yet, it happened. Now, Kakashi was seriously suspicious about Naruto, but taking a look at the confused look, the genuinely confused look on the blonde's face, he concluded Naruto didn't have a clue about what had just occurred. Madden? Kakashi questioned. Concealing his Sharingan, Kakashi shrugged. I guess you just burned up your paper, huh, Naruto? Ah, the female of the team uttered. I didn't see it burn? So, Naruto has fire too? The gray-haired teacher rubbed the back of his head. No, that's not what I meant, Sakura. He poured too much chakra in it, so he kinda made the paper all useless. Kakashi lied. Seriously, you're getting ridiculous, Naruto. I'm getting to the bottom of this. As soon as I know how. Sandaime Hokage will surely know what to do. Watching the blonde scratch the back of his head in embarrassment, Sakura rolled her eyes. Such a moron. Was the snort coming from the Avenger? Well, now that we know Sasuke has lightning-type affinity and Sakura has fire-type, perhaps you should both teach some techniques from that element. Kakashi grinned. Naruto, show them a technique. What? The loudmouth yelled out. I don't know any of those. Just checking, the copy nin thought. Fine, I'll show you. He then walked away from the trio. Tomorrow. Sasuke and Sakura face faulted. Naruto simply chuckled as Kakashi walked away. He sure is lazy, huh? Naruto, you nodded when Kakashi asked you what your chakra affinity was. So, what is it? Sakura asked as she fixed Naruto with a threatening glare. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki grinned at her and at the curious expression on Sasuke's face. I actually know a lot about chakra affinities, Sakura-chan. Someone told me about them. If you go on a date with me, I'll tell you. Shit, he muttered as he found himself on the ground, a red mark on his left cheek. Fine, no date, huh? Well, I ain't telling you nothing unless you and Sasuke go to Ichiraku Ramen with me once we're back in Konaha. Naruto. Sakura slowly started as she gritted her teeth. Want me to hit you really hard now? Hey, it's not that bad, is it? I mean, Sasuke'll be there, too. Right, bastard? Naruto shot a hopeful glance at Sasuke. I won't. He coldly reacted, but he was still glaring at Naruto, as if the glare would give him the answers to his current questions.
This time, it was Naruto's time to snort. Then, no deal, go ask Kakashi, I'm going meditating.
Before any of them could grab Naruto, he disappeared, making both his students stare at the spot where the blonde was standing in pure shock. Holy hell. Naruto can do Shunshin no Jutsu?
If Sakura had super good sound shinobi-style hearing, she would heard Sasuke grit his teeth in anger. That dead last, how come he knows all these things? He glared at Sakura. Sakura.
What is it? Sasuke-kun. Sakura blushed. This could actually be the first time. No, it was the first time Sasuke initiated a conversation with her. We will go to Ichiraku Ramen with Naruto once we get back to Konaha. Kakashi won't be teaching anything at the moment, so, we're gonna look for Naruto now. He'll tell us more about this thing. His glaring eyes narrowed, actually making Sakura blush harder. Understood? Yes, Sasuke-kun. We'll find that idiot easily, she exclaimed and jumped at the same time. She wanted to hug Sasuke now, actually. Then hurry up, he said as he jumped away in high speed.
Sasuke-kun is so cool, that was almost as fast as Shunshin no Jutsu. Sakura stared admiringly at the location Sasuke was just standing. I guess I go look for that idiot now. Excuse me, he was really confused. We're all shinobi from Konoha so stupid as to fall asleep in the middle of nowhere. Haku stared at the blonde with a dubious look on his face. This kid, he actually gave Zabuza-sama some trouble, didn't he? Probably just luck, he smiled in his mind as he saw the seemingly innocent shinobi mediate, leaning against a tree.
The blonde didn't look like much at all. More like a brat than a talented ninja. But then, looks can be very deceiving. Haku thought as he remembered how his own opponents often felt the same way about him. Naruto opened his eyes, only to rub the sleep out of them.
Haku blinked and set his basket full of plants and held out his hand to help Naruto up. You'll catch a cold sleeping in a place like this.
Naruto took the hand with a smile. People in waves sure are friendly, huh? Completely not like Konoha, he murmured inside his head. Thanks for waking me up, miss. He then looked at the basket. You collecting weeds or something?
Zabuza's apprentice smiled. Oh, these are no weeds, they're special plants. They are actually medicines. They can save lives if used properly. The black-haired boy explained. He's a rookie, genin most likely.
Naruto nodded his head. I know completely nothing about that, he admitted. So, what time is it? Around 5 in the morning, I suppose. Why'd you ask?
The blonde squinted his eyes, deciding this girl really was friendly, cuter than Sakura-chan, even. Wow, that early. You sure are working early, lady.
He's loud for a shinobi. But there's something about him, something deeper. Haku stared right into Naruto's eyes and realized, he couldn't read this kid at all. Interesting, perhaps he's dangerous after all. As are you. What are you doing here so early in the morning? The fake hunter nin inquired. Training. Meditating. Actually, meditating. A loud boy like him. Haku chuckled. I see. That must be difficult. Could you be a ninja, by any chance? The Jinchuriki puffed up his chest and laughed. You can tell, huh? Is sure as hell one. Amazing, huh? So, why are you training? I need to become stronger, strong enough to become the strongest shinobi in my village. So everyone will acknowledge my strength. The blonde started shouting, much to Haku's surprise. What a very strange shinobi this is, he thought. Are you getting stronger for you, or for someone else? Naruto's eyes suddenly turned serious as he stared at Haku. The black-haired boy felt like he was right now standing in front of someone else completely. I have to get strong. Strong enough so I can protect everyone. At this, Haku's eyes widened. To protect everyone? Haku narrowed his eyes at the anguish in Naruto's eyes. The first emotion shows itself finally. His anguish could very well eclipse mine completely. This boy is no ordinary kid after all. Amazing. Yes, I have to protect everyone, because no one else will be able to. I cannot fail this. Such determination. Haku closed his eyes and held his hand out to Naruto. You will become strong. Naruto shook his hand without hesitation. And so, I have met yet another person who's shown me hope like this. Let us meet again somewhere. Haku started walking away,
but stopped as he felt two chakra signatures appearing beside the blonde kid. He turned and saw his two teammates. How silly that I didn't sense it before. That boy has an incredible amount of chakra around him. What was he doing before I found him?
Hey, lady. These are my teammates. Nice to meet you. Haku bowed. Also, I am a boy. Naruto face faulted. Sakura didn't believe it at all and Sasuke almost fell down as well from the shock. This guy here, after all, really did look like a girl. What? But you're cuter than Sakura-chan. Naruto screamed inwardly. Dobi, we've agreed on your deal. Teach us about chakra affinities now. Sasuke chose to ignore his own confusion regarding the female-like boy. With his back turned to them, Haku narrowed his eyes. Chakra affinities? So, the little kid actually is more than he appears to be. He then smiled. But he is a truly good person. Wait. My name's Uzumaki Naruto, lady. Haku turned and smiled. My name is Haku, nice to. Haku's eyes widened immediately as he saw how Naruto's body language suddenly changed dramatically. Oh, of course. He yelled out my name when his team fought Zabuza-sama. He already knew of me, was what he thought when he saw Naruto's eyes widen as well. Shit. With that, Haku disappeared immediately. Haku, the blonde's eyes were still widened, so he was a shinobi. Sasuke frowned. Nice going, dead last. The next day, all right, team. Here's what we'll do. Should we encounter Zabuza and his little hunter Nin again, we'll let Naruto perform his barrier technique. Sasuke, Kakashi glared at the Uchiha. I expect you won't attack your teammate again, this time. It was a shadow clone, Kakashi, what does it matter? Besides, I won't be inside that barrier this time. The black-haired boy responded. Sasuke, you still attacked Naruto. Not only that, but in doing so, you brought our client back in danger. So, to Kakashi's chagrin, Sasuke cut him off. I understand, Kakashi. The young Uchiha muttered. He didn't take well to getting reprimanded at all. What's the matter in destroying a shadow clone or two anyway? It doesn't matter, Kakashi-sensei. The blonde interjected. I've learned how to create an extra barrier around my clones from the inside now as well. So, this time, there will be no breaking the barrier unless I cancel out the technique, he proudly claimed. Actually, getting trapped with Tazuna in that barrier isn't such a bad idea if we come across that sick shinobi again, Sakura deadpanned. So, he learned a way to guard his own clones during the Shishi engine. In this short amount of time? How very unlikely. The copycat found. Anyway, let's get back to training. I'll be fine by tomorrow, so starting tomorrow, we'll all be helping Tazuna-san on the bridge. Naruto snorted. I'll just use Kage Bunshin and finish that bridge on my own. He got smacked from behind by Sakura. Naruto. You'll just destroy the bridge, knowing you. Naruto rubbed the bump on his head and pouted at Sakura. His mind was elsewhere, though. Next time, I'll be facing Zabuza and Haku. This time, I might have to go all out to prevent anyone from dying. When we get back to Konaha, I'm going out on a date with Sasuke-kun. Sakura happily thought as she lay in bed. I'll just tell Naruto to buzz off so we can have some alone time. Sakura stared at the ceiling and frowned at what had happened the last few days. Her blonde dead last teammate was actually teaching them about chakra affinities. So weird, hearing him talk about complex stuff like that. Her eyes suddenly widened. Hey, wait a minute. Naruto never told me what his chakra affinity was, that bastard. Her eyes suddenly moved to the door of her temporary bedroom in Tsunami's house. Tsunami was Tazuna's daughter. She had heard a sound in the hallway and guessed it could either be Sasuke or Naruto, since those two were still out training. She moved to the door and looked through the small opening she created by opening the door slightly. Ah, it's both Sasuke-kun and Naruto. They look horrible. So exhausted. Sasuke-kun looks cool when he's exhausted. She watched as they stopped and stared downwards. Was there something on the ground? Why do you try so hard? The voice came unexpected and she recognized the voice to be Inari's, Tsunami's son. No matter how hard you try, you're still no match for Gato's men. No matter what you do, the strong will always win. Whatever, kid. Sakura's gaze moved from the ground, since Inari's was standing right in front of her door, to Naruto's gaze. What was that? He looked so much different all of a sudden. Was this how Naruto looked like when he was serious? Looking at Sasuke, she noticed he was also looking at Naruto, but with a frown etched upon his face. I'm not like you. The response was faster than immediate, coming from Inari. I'd hate to be like you. You don't know anything about this country, yet you're being so nosy. Sakura then heard it. The little boy was crying. Again looking at Sasuke and Naruto, she noticed that Sasuke was trying to ignore the entire situation. But Naruto was actually helping Sasuke to be able to stand. Wow, Sasuke-kun's really exhausted. She then looked at Naruto, whose gaze was actually, no, he was actually glaring at Inari, she saw. What the hell do you know about me? Inari continued to scream. I'm different from you. You're always smiling, having fun. You don't know how hard life can be. That isn't, Sakura wanted to disagree, but stopped herself. Since when did she defend the dead last? And then she saw the look on Naruto's face. But it's true, Naruto and Sasuke, they both know exactly how harsh life can be, don't they?
So, it's okay for you to pose as the star of a tragedy and cry all day. Sakura's eyes widened at how harsh Naruto's voice was. So, unforgiving. Just keep on crying forever, idiot.
Sakura watched as Sasuke snapped his head to Naruto, clearly not believing how Naruto was talking to this little kid. Naruto. You little sissy. Sakura opened her door. That's enough, Naruto. She was about ready to punch Naruto out for making the boy cry even more. Sure as hell everyone in the house woke up because of all the noise. Inner Sakura ranted.
He fixed Sakura with a glare, something he never gave her, and it felt colder than any glare Sasuke had ever given her. Whatever, he let go of Sasuke and walked away. The Uchiha quickly leaned against the wall for support.
Sakura looked at Inari, who was crying all his tears out. Inari-kun, she started.
Shut up, Inari screamed, running in the different direction Naruto went. Sakura huffed, but then went to help Sasuke.
Don't. I don't need any help, Sakura, was the response she expected and got, so it didn't really faze her. You didn't understand, so, you had no right stopping this conversation here. She didn't expect him to talk after that, so she froze as she was already close to being back in her bedroom. You don't understand me and you don't understand Naruto either. Stop pretending you do, it's annoying. She listened as Sasuke used the wall to get to his room. She was actually gritting her teeth and glaring at her feet as she closed the door. He's right, I don't understand them at all. But you forget, they don't understand us either. Inner Sakura raged from within. Sakura nodded her head, determination dancing on her features. You're right, it's time we all got to know each other. It seems I won't be asking Naruto to buzz off when we're back in Konaha, after all. Naruto, these clothes are special. They've been designed by me. Well, by you too, eventually. The older Jinchuriki scratched the back of his head in slight confusion, while the younger blonde chuckled. Each piece of this clothing has a seal implemented on them. I will explain to you now how to use them. Naruto nodded. First off, your headband. The Godem Hokage held a technique in her arsenal that stores chakra and taught me the basics of it. I've created a Hite 8 that can store chakra. You basically pour chakra into the headband and it'll remain there. It has to touch your forehead, though. You yourself will be drained of it, of course. But you and me both know we have a whole lot of chakra. I'd advise you to store chakra in the Hite 8 and take a day's rest after that. If you want to drain chakra from the headband, just think of pulling chakra out of it. It'll come automatically. Naruto wanted to talk, but his older version held up a hand. Wait until I've explained everything and keep paying attention, Naruto. Next up, your vest and shirt combined complete the chakra cloak. It completely conceals all of your chakra. Even it's warm, do not take off the vest, understand? These two lose their function when they're apart. Now, your trunks. Naruto's short pants ended over both his knees. The pants themselves don't hold any seals, but your pockets do. And they respond to your fingers. Pour chakra into your thumb, pink, middle finger, ring finger or index finger. All summon different weapons. Important is that the fingers of your left hand summon different things than the fingers on your right hand. Try it out. Pouring chakra in the palm of your right hand will result in summoning Ego Kaiki. The palm of your left hand summons nothing, until you will assign something to it. Naruto frowned as the older one chuckled strangely. I want you to locate the Ego Kaiki in your own time and assign it to the palm in your left hand. If my assumptions are correct, you'll find the result very exciting. Moving on, the black sandals hold no seals and I figured it completed the black look we both have. The black gloves, however, hold summon seals, just like the pockets in your black pants. These, however, summon explosive tags when you pour chakra in them. Combining them with wind-natured chakra should do something pretty cool. Naruto watched as the Azukage gave permission to speak. What about all the pockets in my vest? Ah, yes. They hold no seals, just scrolls. These scrolls are all empty. I will be teaching you how to seal techniques, weapons, clothes, food, drinks and many other stuff in scrolls soon. Namikaze Naruto watched as his younger version was holding a small metal symbol. You like the Uzumaki crest? Naruto looked up from the small metal piece in his hands that would secure the black belt around his waist. Uzumaki? The Azukage nodded his head. Our mother was Uzumaki Kushina and she originated from Whirlpool country. The name Namikaze is already great and will never be forgotten in this world. I want to make the name Uzumaki big as well. Even though we've never met our mother, I know I love her and, well, respect her. We'll make the Uzumaki name big, right? Uzumaki Kushina is the name of my mother, Naruto repeated. But then, why do you go by the name Namikaze? Namikaze Naruto was wondering what to explain first, why he called himself Namikaze or what secrets the Uzumaki symbol and the black belt held on his person. Aerial Perspective Chapter 3. Bad timing. The sounds of birds chirping woke him up from his slumber. He shook his head and noticed the absence of a pillow underneath his head. In fact, his head and neck were hurting. Taking a few seconds to just breathe and do nothing at all but wake up, he took a look at his surroundings and noted he was outside. He could barely see the sky, as it was mostly obscured by trees. The blonde groaned and set himself up in a seated position, rubbing his head in the process, hoping the dull headache would go away quickly. Man! Where am I? His eyes were still half closed and he felt like he could sleep a whole lot more, but perhaps checking in with his team would be the smarter idea. Finally decided to wake up. He blinked. He didn't even sense someone. Who was there? Naruto jumped up and got ready to kick some ass, until he saw, geez, what the hell is wrong with you? You really think I'd let you wake up first if I wanted to kill you? His own shadow clone. Alright. I forgot about you, okay? The real Naruto groaned again. Of course he wouldn't sense his own clone, since it obviously has the same chakra presence. He remembered he told the Bunshin to stand watch. Something his future self told him to always do. Dispel yourself, it might get rid of this headache. The cage Bunshin chuckled. Yeah, well, you have been sleeping on a rock all night. As the clone dispelled itself, Naruto gained some memories about the training yesterday night and grinned. The headache he had was gone faster than he could blink. Oh yeah. New technique mastered. Let's try it out immediately. What's going on here? It didn't take a genius to figure out something was wrong. The unconscious bodies scattered on the unfinished bridge were enough of a clue. Kakashi-sensei, the only female on the bridge, uttered, exactly at the same time mist surrounded all of them. It seems I was right. The copy nin surmised. Momochi Zabuza is still alive. And he brought his friend along this time. His two teammates and the client, Tazuna, looked up ahead to see two shadows slowly approaching them through the mist. The hunter nin, as expected. Sasuke snarled as he finally spotted the missing nin and his accomplice. Who? Where's the loudmouth? He couldn't make it? Zabuza's voice was as cold as Kakashi and the others remembered it being. I wanted Haku to deal with that nosy brat. Oh well, your other two will do just as fine, I'm sure. So, his name is Haku, if I remember correctly, that's the exact name Naruto called out when we first encountered Zabuza. Did he know Haku was traveling with Zabuza? It could have been mentioned in the bingo records, but it's unlikely Naruto would have any bingo book. Kakashi sighed. I intend to finish things quick this time, Zabuza. Is that so? I take it I'll get to see that Sharingan eye again, huh? The demon of the mist chuckled. Let's do this, then. His Sharingan eye widened as he saw the hunter nin perform one-handed seals. A unique shinobi this one, Hajutsu, Sensatsu Suisho. Sasuke easily jumped out of the way of Haku's ice needle attack, while Kakashi was deflecting them with his kunai, at the same time protecting Sakura and Tazuna. You don't have time to protect them, Kakashi. Kakashi spun around rapidly to see Zabuza bring his massive sword down upon Tazuna and Sakura. The sword never hit as another Kakashi appeared behind Zabuza and hit it with a kunai. Zabuza evaporated and water splashed everywhere. Mizu Bunshin. Kakashi murmured. I suppose with his mist around, it's easy for you to create them. Sasuke, in the meantime, had clashed with Haku, kunai med ice needle. You're fast enough to evade my attack. I commend you, came Haku's voice. However, this is as far as you'll go. As Haku made one-hand movement, Sasuke heard how the ice needles from the previous attack that were on the ground behind him, all sailed towards him again. Applying chakra to his feet, Sasuke somersaulted away from Haku and over all the ice needles. Ah, quite a talented one we have, here. Indeed. Zabuza had materialized next to Haku again, still wearing the everlasting smirk. Finish things quickly, Haku. I won't be able to do the same in handling Kakashi. I understand, Zabuza-san. Naruto was energetic after trying out a new Fuden jutsu he had been working on for days. Now that it was mastered, he was feeling quite satisfied with himself as he was heading back to Tsunami's house, hoping to catch some big breakfast. As the house came into view, Naruto changed from walking pace to running pace in the blink of an eye. He walked in, fully prepared to take some smart-ass remark from either Sasuke or Kakashi, only to narrow his eyes at the presence of absolutely nobody. Where is everyone? Naruto mumbled softly. He walked into the kitchen and then upstairs, just to realize no one was home. Aw man, I missed breakfast and they all started training without me. Even Tsunami-san and that little brat are gone, Che.
As he sat on the bed in the room he and the rest of his team had been staying in the last few days, he jumped as he heard the front door was slammed shut and he heard footsteps coming up. Must be Inari, Naruto thought. Perhaps he can. He had already walked towards the stairs only to see Inari crying and, to his surprise, hope in his eyes as the kid looked at him.
Pooh please. They took my mother. Right then, Naruto's mind clicked. Tell me where. Hijutsu. Makyu Hyosho. When he heard those words 3 minutes ago, he didn't think he would be stepping into a world of pain. He knew he couldn't count on Kakashi, since he was busy with that Zabuza guy. He also realized he couldn't wait for Sakura to suddenly develop some shinobi abilities, so all in all, he was screwed. Where the hell was Naruto, anyway? Your eyes, it seems my technique has helped in you gaining your bloodline limit, the Sharingan. Came Haku's voice from all around him. Even though he could see the masked boy in one of the many ice mirrors around him, that didn't mean he truly was in that mirror. But I'm afraid it's already too late. I'm starting to see his movements. Sasuke thought. I just need to see more so I can strike back. While he was performing this technique, Haku could only move from mirror to mirror, throwing ice needles from any angle. If worst came to worst, he could even throw needles from all angles at the same time. But for this boy, with a fresh Sharingan, Haku hoped he could just strike him at the necessary pressure points. He never did like killing people. But the boy was not cooperating as he was dodging most of his needles. Not too far away from Haku and Sasuke, Kakashi was panting and holding a hand to a big wound to his chest. His Sharingan couldn't see through the thick mist Zabuza had created around all of them. It's been a while since I've been in such a dangerous situation. I hope Sasuke's doing fine. He could still sense the Uchiha and his other subordinate, Sakura, behind him, guarding Tazuna. I guess I'll have to use Kachiyose to finish things fast. I just hope I'll make it in time for Sasuke. I'll promise you, I will save her, I promise, Inari. Those were the words he yelled to the little boy a few minutes ago. Right now, he was running through the forest, intent on reaching Inari's mother in time. There were 2 of them, Inari said, and they were probably taking her to their boss, Gato. To do that, they had to continue on water. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto quickly sent his shadow clones in different directions, hoping he would find them quicker. Damn it, me and my stupid head just had to sleep someplace else. And to top it off, continue training after waking up. Stupid. Stupid. He and his clones were all moving in very high speed. There was no use in holding back any longer. The real deal starts now and he would save everyone, he had to. Just then, a shadow clone had dispelled itself and Naruto knew where they were. But, as he saw the memories of the shadow clone, he realized, Tsunami was probably dead. Shit. Supporting himself by holding both his hands on his knees, Sasuke was panting and looking through only one eye, as he was in great pain. Many ice needles had hit him all over his body, but he managed to avoid getting hit in critical places. But he knew he couldn't hold on for much longer if it continued on like this. Sure, he could now see some of the movements his opponent was making, but it didn't matter. The difference in their skills was too great. Just a fresh genin and his first real mission would already be his demise? His fists clenched. No, he was an Uchiha. He already had the Sharingan. He would continue until he could face Uchiha Itachi. This opponent was nothing compared to his brother. Forcing himself to stand upright again, Sasuke glared at Haku. Oh, it seems like you're still able to move, came Haku's surprisingly gentle voice. It would be wise to stand down and admit defeat, to avoid more suffering. Accept death as something swift. I won't die. Sasuke replied as both his Sharingan eyes suddenly had 2 tomos. This fight is far from over. Easily this time, Sasuke dodged all the needles as he could see them coming at him before they were even close. Those needles won't touch me again. He let out as he jumped from one spot to the other, using chakra under his feet to move faster. You're not realizing the position you are in. In here, I can hit anything I want whenever I want. Came the counter reply, and the needles came faster and grew in numbers. It didn't change the fact that Sasuke was still dodging every single one of them. I see, his eyes have developed so much that hitting him proves too difficult. If that's true, then. Sasuke's eyes widened as all of a sudden every mirror held an image of Haku. I told you, in here, there is no escape. Came the many voices. There's nowhere to run to, for there is a needle waiting for you, everywhere.
Sasuke gritted his teeth and gathered chakra as his Sharingan indeed saw ice needles coming from all around him. His Sharingan told him he would get hit, no matter what he did, so, Gh.
It's no use bringing her in like this, Waraji, a young man wearing a black hat mumbled, looking at the woman on the ground. I'm sorry, I felt like cutting something up. Besides, what difference will this woman make, anyway? She was too stubborn to be of any meaning, really. Waraji replied, scratching himself just above the eye patch covering his right eye.
Zori sighed as he grabbed the sword hanging by his hip. She's still alive, so we might as well finish things here. He held his sword above the woman, ready to slice her in half, only to blink in surprise as his sword was gone. No longer in his grasp. Waraji's eyes widened as his sword was also gone. You bastards, they both turned their heads to see a blonde kid dropping their swords to the ground. How dare you hurt an innocent woman?
Innocent? Zori yelled. She's the daughter of the man who opposes Gato. No one opposes Gato. Waraji was hesitant in calling out. This kid is good, he grabbed our swords without us even seeing it. Not only that, his eyes widened as Zori suddenly dropped to the ground next to him. What, Zori? Staring at the spot where the blonde kid was standing before, he realized he was still standing there. Why did Zori fall? Dropping to his knees, he quickly checked if his companion was still alive. You bastard, what did you do to him? Naruto glared at Waraji. Be glad he isn't dead. He didn't realize anything at all as he was already knocked out from behind. Naruto walked towards the struggling tsunami on the ground, many sword wounds covering her arms, legs and back. I don't know any medic ninjutsu, so there's only one thing I can do now. I just hope she can handle the motion. He muttered to himself as he crouched down and held one hand on Tsunami's shoulder, while his other hand was performing a seal. Hiraishin no Jutsu. Sasuke. Kakashi wondered out loud as he heard a scream and dropped to his knees as he had finished a sequence of hand seals. He quickly put his hands on the ground and yelled out, Kachiyose. Doden. Suiga no Jutsu. It seems your boy is in a lot of pain, Kakashi. He won't survive against a killer like Haku. Zabuza's voice rang throughout the clearing that was covered with mist. Don't underestimate my students. The copy nin responded, watching as his jutsu spread out under the ground. He is an Uchiha, the last of his clan. He won't die so easily. Uchiha? He's an Uchiha? A survivor of that unfortunate clan? No wonder he can last this long against Haku. But it doesn't matter. Haku has never lost with that technique. You're failing as a teacher, Kakashi. It's a Shah. He got cut off as many dogs suddenly erupted from out of the ground and bit Zabuza wherever they could bite him. Shit. The demon of the mist glared as Kakashi appeared in front of him. End of the line, Zabuza. How? My blood, thanks to the wounds you gave me and the blood on your sword, my dogs were able to catch you through this mist. I've won this battle. Kakashi slightly crouched and performed a few hand seals. Now, let me show you my original technique. Sasuke fell to the ground, completely unable to move any longer. Haku cancelled his jutsu out and slowly walked towards the fallen avenger. Very skilled indeed, you've managed to avoid getting hit in lethal places, again. But, seeing that there are so many needles, this fight has come to an end. Sasuke managed to look up from the ground and glared at his opponent. He was in too much pain to talk. But you shouldn't feel ashamed. I used my ultimate move against you, the one that allows for no escape. I only use it on my strongest opponents. You should be proud. A genin was able to push me to my limits. Now, should I end your life? Sakura-chan. Tazuna and Sakura both turned around in shock as they suddenly saw Naruto standing behind them. And Naruto?
What's going on here? Naruto asked as he saw the mist on the bridge. It's a good thing I planted a seal on everyone in the team, he thought to himself. But I can't sense Sasuke, was I too late?
We're under attack. Zabuza and that hunter Nin, they came out of nowhere, Sakura uttered loudly. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto muttered, creating 5 shadow clones. 4 of them surrounded Sakura and Tazuna. Wait here, I'll go help out. You stay with Tazuna, alright? Naruto said as his clones began doing hand seals. He turned around and gave Sakura and Tazuna a confident smile. I'll go save everyone. Sakura felt hope in her chest at that smile, while Tazuna was incredibly relieved. Shishi engine. 4 clones created the purple barrier around them. 1 shadow clone stayed behind just in case someone tried to come too close to the barrier. Naruto himself performed a single hand seal and focused on Sasuke's position. Hiraishin no Jutsu. Both Sakura and Tazuna saw how Naruto vanished into thin air, leaving only a slight yellow flash behind. Just as Haku sensed a lot of chakra being gathered in the distance, the blonde boy he had encountered in the forest appeared by Sasuke's side out of nowhere. Impossible. I didn't sense him coming, Haku thought. Well, damn, you look like shit, Sasuke. Naruto murmured as he crouched down and patted the Uchiha on the shoulder. Hang on a little longer. Sasuke was already unconscious, though. You're strong, Haku started. But I sense my master is in danger, I cannot fight you right now. Naruto glared at the masked boy and snorted. You think you can just kick my teammate's ass and get away with it? But Haku wasn't listening anymore, already ready to use his full speed to reach Zabuza in time. Naruto blinked as he jumped away. But the blonde was faster, a lot faster. Chidori. Kakashi's eyes widened as a mirror of ice appeared in front of Zabuza and he couldn't stop anymore. He noticed, then, that his hand was being held by something strong. Glancing sideways, he saw that Naruto had stopped his jutsu by grabbing his wrist. Haku had appeared in front of Zabuza within an ice mirror and saw that her life was saved by Naruto. Zabuza was shocked by all of this for a few short moments, until his mind clicked. Using the Chidori and the Sharingan drained Kakashi a lot and the copycat couldn't hold the Doden Suiga no Jutsu any longer. Zabuza was free, grabbing his sword, he brought it down onwards Haku, Kakashi and Naruto. Kakashi was already thinking of jumping back as the Chidori had died down and Naruto had released his wrist, when Zabuza suddenly stopped. I don't think so. Haku looked up to see Zabuza's sword hovering just inches from his face. What are you thinking, slashing your sword through your comrade like that? Naruto asked in anger as a sword of his own was blocking Zabuza's sword. Zabuza gritted his teeth as he tried to overpower Naruto with his sword. It was starting to work, too. In his struggle, Zabuza let out. Haku would have dodged it. He's too fast to be hit by my sword. In between grunts. What's this sword? Kakashi and Haku jumped back. Kakashi stepped forward only to be stopped by Haku's arm. Wait, the battle is already over. Kakashi looked puzzled, until he heard laughing from behind him. The mist had already dissipated. The copy nin saw how Tazuna and Sakura were surrounded by the Shishi engine, but he also saw a huge army led by a very short man, who was doing the laughing. That must be Gato, then. What's this? The demon of the mist struggling against a kid. How low you've fallen. I've come to take over. You're doing a shitty job, Zabuza. Gato grinned. Now, kill everyone, the short man ordered his army. Zabuza and Naruto stepped away from each other to look dumbly at the approaching group of bandits. Really, are they serious? People like them facing shinobi like us? Naruto muttered as he unsummoned his sword. Zabuza chuckled. They are. He then walked towards Kakashi. My mission is over, it seems. We no longer need to fight. Zabuza glanced at Haku, glad that the boy was still alive, before grabbing his sword again and grinning like a madman. Let's cut down this army, Haku. Yes, Zabuza-san. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Kakashi looked behind him to see Naruto with many of his shadow clones. I'll help out. He also noticed how the real Naruto and one shadow clone lifted Sasuke up from the ground. I guess I'll help, too. Kakashi muttered. Kage Bunshin. Safe to say, Gato's army stood no chance and Gato met his end by Zabuza's hands. As Zabuza was enjoying himself with a few poor survivors of Gato's pathetic army, Kakashi walked over to Naruto and the unconscious Sasuke. Kakashi-sensei, I have to take him to Konaha. The copy nin sighed and crouched down to check on Sasuke. I know some medic ninjutsu, I'll be able to make sure he's fine, but, you're right, we need to return to Konaha as soon as possible. Kakashi turned his head to see the Shishi engine still active around Sakura and Tazuna. Everything's fine now, you can release them. Tazuna's safe, since Gato's dead now. Sakura and Kakashi brought Sasuke back to Tsunami's house, along with Tazuna, but Naruto stayed behind to talk to Zabuza and Haku, to their surprise. Zabuza-san, Haku-san. I have a favor to ask. A favor? What makes you think you can ask us a favor, kid? Zabuza looked bored as he stared Naruto down. I saved your life, both your lives. Naruto replied as he grinned at Zabuza and Haku. Since I'm going to become Hokage of Konoha, I want you two on my side. Haku looked surprised, while Zabuza chuckled. Kid, you mean you want us to come to Konoha? The blonde shook his head. No, I want to keep in touch. Pouring chakra in the index finger of his right hand, Naruto suddenly pulled out a set of 20 special kunai, all tied with a metal string. He also grabbed a scroll out of one of his pockets. Take these kunai, they can summon me when you throw them. Zabuza's eyes widened. Are you serious? Although he asked the question, the older shinobi could see the look in Naruto's eyes and knew he was. What kind of shinobi are you? He chose to ignore the question and continued. This scroll holds a technique I want the both of you to learn. He threw the scroll at Zabuza while he handed the kunai to Haku. After that, Naruto performed a few hand seals. Kenpo. Buseiken. Teisatsu no Jutsu. Both his hands were glowing and then he touched both Zabuza and Haku on the shoulders. This technique allows me to always know where you are. It works one way, but this technique is the one that I want you to learn. It's the one that's in the scroll I've given to you. Once the both of you have learned it, I want you to summon me by throwing one of my special kunai. Then, you can use the jutsu on me, too. Simply throwing the kunai will summon you, Haku asked. And this technique, can we trust you? Naruto grinned. I think you know you can. Zabuza sighed. You're a strange kid. What makes you think we won't summon you right into a trap of ours? Because I trust you. This time, both Mist Nin fell silent. Listen, I just know you're trustworthy. In the future, we might need each other's help. So until then, I want you two to survive against the Hunter Nin coming after you. If you ever are in a bind, don't hesitate to summon me. Zabuza opened the scroll. Why do you want us to learn this technique? Naruto shrugged. Trust works both ways. I now know your whereabouts anytime. I want you to know where I am at all times, too. When I'm Hokage, I only want trustworthy people around me. You have some explaining to do, Naruto. Naruto froze in his movements and turned around. He was planning to sneak into Tsunami's hospital room quietly and get back to Wave without anyone noticing, but the blonde inwardly groaned and bowed his head in greeting. Hokage-sama. According to my resources, it is impossible for you to be in Konoha, but I know you really are Uzumaki Naruto. Explain yourself now. Hiraishin no Jutsu. Naruto sighed. He had to tell the old man everything now. That's impossible. I'm surprised you've even heard of the technique. I was thinking that you could be a shadow clone, but that isn't it either, is it? Hokage-sama. Naruto bowed again. We have things to discuss, but first, let me bring Tsunami back to her family. You'll see for yourself. He paused as he walked over to Tsunami and touched her shoulder with his right hand, while he performed seals with his left. That I can do the Hiraishin no Jutsu. Sarutobi's eyes widened as he saw the yellow flash. He hadn't expected to see someone else standing in the office as he was allowed entry, especially not someone so present. Naruto blinked as this was probably the first time he felt this much chakra in a single person. But then he remembered how his own future self felt like, chakra-wise. Chakra freaks, He learned how to sense how much chakra a shinobi possessed from his future self and knew he himself had a shitload of it. His future self had many times more, so he knew he would be expanding upon it. Now, this guy standing next to the third Hokage, he also had a shitload of chakra. Truly, it gave a nostalgic feeling to him, and a lot of pressure, too. Ah, good morning, Naruto-kun. The aging man greeted and then laid his arm out in front of the taller man. This is Jiraiya. Naruto's eyes widened as he remembered his future self telling him about the Toad Hermit. The perverted Toad Hermit, that is. Naruto nodded at the sage once, sensing that he already knew who he was himself. I just received the mission report from Kakashi and you should know that he also knows about you bringing Tizuna's daughter here for treatment during the mission. The Sandame started. Now, he was very curious since you haven't been telling him about how you pulled that stunt. I myself haven't been telling him anything either, so expect a very agitated instructor after this meeting. The blonde nodded, staring intently at Jiraiya. He remembered how the older Naruto held great respect for the man. So, Hiraishin no Jutsu? You have to be a seal specialist to be able to do such a technique. And to be a seal specialist, takes a lot of work and certain intelligence. Next to that, it takes years. The third stated carefully. Perhaps you should start explaining yourself, young one. Yes. It's simple, really, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama. Naruto started. I've stood in front of the gates of the Kyuubi and touched the seal imprisoning the demon. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes, while the third did not yet fully understand. Apparently, it all starts with my father, aerial perspective. Chapter 4. Chunin exam. In truth, he hadn't spoken to his father yet. His future self told him all about Namikaze Minato and how he would appear should Naruto ever lose control of himself and boost up to 8 tails of the Kyuubi. He had no intention of ever losing control, but he did have every intention to have the chance to speak to his father. Someday, he will find a way to get the fourth of that seal inside himself without using a single bit of Kyuubi chakra, someday.
Right now, he had lies to tell, convincingly. It seems that when I get angry or emotional, the chakra of the Kyuubi leaks out through the seal and onto me. When I get too angry or too emotional, the amount of chakra coming from the fox is dangerous. So dangerous that it hurts me. It has happened already before, and when it did, the fourth Hokage appeared in front of the gates of the Kyuubi as well.
Sarutobi gasped and Jiraiya stepped forward, speaking up for the first time. What did he tell you? Inwardly, Naruto grinned. Outwardly, Naruto sighed. He is my father. He had little time before he faded away. Of course, it was a lingering bunshin of the Yondaime, put into the seal as an addition. He looked up to see Jiraiya nod in understanding. But before he did, he taught me some jutsu, the Rasengan, the Hiraishin. This is unbelievable, the third muttered. Now you know you are the son of the fourth Hokage. And the son of Uzumaki Kushina. The blonde added. I can also summon. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed. What do you summon? Toads and birds of prey. You, how? Jiraiya stuttered. Naruto unrolled his sleeve and revealed markings on his underarm. Your father created that? Actually, his future self did, but Naruto nodded. Yes. A combination fuin of 2 very advanced fuinjutsu. He called it the Dairenritsu of the Gamma and the Moko. I haven't signed the contract yet, so I can't just summon them now without getting killed. Naruto chuckled nervously. At least not in this time, yet. True, summoning without having signed a contract is lethal to one's own chakra. Next to that, whatever you summoned might kill you for summoning them without permission. Jiraiya gulped. Hey, I guess you're not the fourth son for nothing. I can help you with the toad contract. He started as he pointed at a large scroll hanging on his back. But the birds of prey is a different story. I know nothing about them, to be honest. I'm sure your father didn't, either. All this is possible, Jiraiya? He was the great professor of the shinobi, but Fuinjutsu was an area Jiraiya and the fourth bested him in by far. The Rasengan, the Hiraishin and Kachiyose no Jutsu. It is possible for the fourth to have created a bunshin using chakra and pushed it into the Shikifuin, yes. It is also possible for a bunshin to teach Naruto Jutsu. All this is possible and something my former pupil is very capable of. I believe young Naruto here, Hokage-sama. Sarutobi glanced from Naruto to Jiraiya and back again a few times, before he caved in. Very well, if Kakashi asks you about all of this, tell him it is classified and that he can get the information from me. I want no one else knowing about this, and you can speak to no one about you being the fourth son. Why is that? The blonde asked, frowning. He had wondered about it ever since he had gotten back from the future. The fourth Hokage was a person known in all great countries. He was not a much liked person outside of Konaha. His downfall was hard on Konaha, but, good news, for all other shinobi nations. His power and his skill made Konaha much more powerful in many departments in comparison to other nations. If word spreads that he has a son, all, and I truly mean all shinobi countries will retaliate. I assume most likely correctly that they would do anything in their power to prevent that another shinobi like the fourth will walk the lands again. Naruto snorted in amazement. He really was awesome, huh? Jiraiya chuckled. Yeah, he really was. I believe you're already walking in his footsteps, Naruto. The third spoke. You'll be finding yourself to be quite awesome, as well. I'll surpass him. I'll surpass my father and all other Hokage. Naruto grinned. Jiraiya and the third grinned back. Well, you're dismissed, Naruto. As Naruto walked out of the office, Jiraiya and Sarutobi faced each other. You've noticed? Jiraiya nodded his head. His shinobi outfit, it's covered in numerous advanced fuinjutsu. It's explainable if he somehow made it through instructions given to him by his father's bunshin in the Shikifuin, but it takes many years to create such an outfit. The Hokage nodded his head. Yes, I figured as much. He's not telling us everything. A snort came from Jiraiya. For starters, when did he come face to face with his father? How long has he known the truth? The next day, Team 7 just finished a D-ranked mission, when Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura were walking through the streets of Konaha, heading for the Hokage Tower.
Kakashi had been given a rather limited explanation about Naruto's weird actions on the wave mission, but the fact that the aging leader mentioned the Hiraishin no Jutsu was somehow odd. Kakashi had a hard time believing it all, but it would explain a few things.
But he received nothing on Naruto's weird outfit, Naruto's Fuinjutsu or the other weird techniques Naruto held in his arsenal. What a boring mission, Naruto suddenly whined. Can't we have more exciting missions like that last one? Exciting, Sakura thought as her mind went back to the mission in Wave. Sasuke got hurt so badly Kakashi-sensei had to carry him all the way back. I was completely useless on the mission, while Naruto protected me and Tazuna. I have to get stronger too. And what happened to Zabuza and that hunter Nin? We've had a higher ranked mission before, right? Sasuke suddenly spoke up, walking next to Naruto with his hands in his pockets and staring at Kakashi's back. Sakura was walking next to Kakashi, looking at how the Chunin was reading a small book. We finished that one, so I don't see why we should still accept these D missions. Your skills are coming along, but your teamwork is lacking, Kakashi replied. The Chunin's head suddenly shot up towards the sky as a small bird flew over. Why don't you two teach Sakura something new? I'll hand in the mission report by myself. With that, Kakashi vanished. I'm going training, Sasuke let out as he started walking towards his own home. Wait, Sasuke-kun. Kakashi-sensei said you and I should train together, Sakura started after him. Not today. Sasuke didn't even look back as he continued walking. The blonde left alone grinned at the scene. Hey, Sakura-chan. We could TRA huh? He sensed a weird chakra behind him, but only saw two shinobi walking through the same street as them. The weird chakra is similar to mine, but it's not coming from them. His head shot up and pinpointed the chakra coming from a person in the tree above the duo. Sakura had stepped next to him. Shinobi from the sand, what are they doing in Konaha? Sand? Naruto repeated, just now seeing the different signs on their hite-8. One was girl with 4 short blonde pigtails, while the other was a guy with purple paint all over his face. Sure, weird bunch. He turned to Sakura. Sakura-chan, wanna train?
Not today, Naruto, Sakura replied, slowly walking past Naruto and towards the sand nin. State your purpose, she ordered suddenly. Naruto frowned at her, wondering why she would confront these two strangers. As a Konoha shinobi, I have the right to question any foreign shinobi in Konoha. Sakura continued in a stern voice. Are you stupid, girl? The blonde Suna shinobi started. We're here for the Chunin exam, obviously, aren't you told anything? Never mind this, Tamari. The other Suna nin said. Let's just leave these genin here. But you're genin, too, right? If you're here for the Chunin exam? Naruto asked as he joined Sakura and stood in front of them. Who are you? That's none of your business, brat. If you participate in the Chunin exam, you might find out. He grinned. I wasn't talking to you, purple head. Naruto said as he pointed past him right into a tree. Who are you? Tamari and Kankuru turned to see Gaara traveling down from a tree using sand. I am Sabaku no Gaara. Kankuru's eyes narrowed as he looked at Naruto in a new light. This kid sensed Gaara while I and Tamari couldn't. He's better than he looks. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto nodded, at the same time recognizing the name. Ah, I am Sabaku no Tamari and this is Sabaku no Kankuru. Tamari introduced. He's impressive. I'm Haruno Sakura. Sakura finished. So you three are siblings? Obviously. Kankuru sneered at the girl. Let's move. Gaara suddenly ordered, while Naruto noticed Kankuru and Tamari both flinched shortly at his voice. As the Suna trio moved away from them, Naruto faced Sakura. He's strong, that Sabaku no Gaara. He has almost as much chakra as I have. Sakura simply frowned at Naruto. Sasuke-kun has more chakra than both of you, Shanaru. Unreal. What is it? That boy, the frequency his body is moving in is. It is impossible. Something is wrong. Kin stared down from the tree at the pink-haired girl and the blonde boy. What do you mean, Dosu? He's not standing still, at all. Or is he? Dosu rubbed his ears through his bandages. Those two are teammates of Uchiha Sasuke, right? Our target during this Chunin exam. He whispered. That boy, he said as he stared at Naruto. Something's really wrong with him. My hearing lets me know this much. Zaku snorted. Well, if you're afraid of him, I'll take care of the brat. You be sure to take Sasuke out, then.
The bandaged sound genin simply ignored his teammate and continued staring at Naruto. No, I have a feeling we won't be able to lay a finger on that boy. Hitaki Kakashi was usually a calm and collected type of guy. Some might say he gives a whole new meaning to the word nonchalant. He was by most known as the guy who's always late. To see him in a room where all Chunin instructors were to meet before anyone else was therefore quite shocking. Kurenai and Asuma glanced at each other as they walked in to see the copy Nin seated in one of the few chairs in the room, reading a book titled Icha Icha Paradise. The room was where Anbu squads usually gathered to prepare for high-ranked missions. The Chunin exams were coming up, so most Anbu were stationed in Konaha, so this room would be empty for most of the month. There were few chairs, but many Chunin instructors and many other shinobi who were to be part of the Chunin exam as examiners or proctors of some sort were scheduled to meet here. Which meant whoever was early had a chair to sit on. Perhaps that was why Kakashi was so early, Kurenai and Asuma thought. Truthfully, Kakashi was a bit unnerved. The Hokage had told him nothing about Naruto's weird actions on the wave mission, except that it had to with his special powers, and that it was classified. As his instructor, Kakashi did feel he had to know everything about him and his other students. Yes, he would be questioning Naruto on it himself, once he felt it was safe. At the moment, the third really made it obvious it was classified for good reasons. As time passed, many more Chunin and Chunin entered the room, and in under an hour, the third Hokage had also appeared. We will do this quick, as I have many reports to sign today. The third started, not bothering to explain why everyone was here. He had deemed his subordinates smart enough to skip that. At the moment, we have 16 genin teams in Konaha. As the Chunin exams is held in our own country, we're allowed to implement 6 teams, rather than 3. If the outcome of this assembly proves that more genin have been judged adequate enough for the Chunin exam, I will be listing them off. Begin, Maida Guy. I state team Guy skilled enough, Hokage-sama, Guy half yelled as he bowed before the aging man. As many more Chunin spoke of their decisions to the fire leader, the result in the end was exactly 6 genin teams. What surprised Sarutobi Hiruzen most was that the 3 rookie genin were nominated as well, this year. Interesting, indeed. The third then motioned seemingly towards nothing, but out of nowhere an Anbu captain appeared. Now, Kira-san will be informing all of you about everything in and around the Chunin exams. The codename Kira was always given to the highest-ranked Anbu commander. Sarutobi walked out as Kira started about how many genin teams each shinobi nation had sent. Sabaku no Gaara. He would be a very trustworthy ally. With the killing intent he seemed to constantly be releasing around him, he really wondered how. But his future self did tell him something very important. Gaara was just like him, a Jinchuriki. There were many still around, and his older self had asked him to locate them all before the Akatsuki got their hands on them. Akatsuki, an organization of mislead members, with an apparently immortal leader. He would have to continue training himself if he wanted to be able to handle an S-ranked missing nin. Yes, before this Chunin exam got off the ground, he would have to face Gaara. From what he could tell, his own siblings even feared him, which made him believe Gaara was more often alone than not. Time to spy on a fellow Jinchuriki. Well, so far, he's the only one that seems better than average, but I wouldn't worry too much about him. He's probably still no match for the average Suna genin. And his name was Uzumaki Naruto, though I'm not sure if he's participating. Konkaru reported as he had scanned Konaha all day along with Tamari. Don't bother grilling Tamari either. She's already stated she doesn't expect too much competition in this exam. Konaha is famous for its clans, Konkaru, especially the Hyuga and the Uchiha, although the latter only has 1 member. I'm sure Konaha will send their finest to show off in this exam. Konkaru's Chunin instructor, Baki, warned. Every nation knows about the lone survivor of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Sasuke. If that brat is in the Chunin exams, be sure he doesn't get in the way. The puppeteer snorted. No Konoha genin can beat a Suna genin, Baki. We both know that much. He wouldn't admit it to anyone, but he was quite pleased with the genin team he was given to work with. At first he was horribly disappointed to find a fangirl and a dead last in his team, but both proved to be better than he originally had guessed. Slightly better. Haruno Sakura was an annoying banshee whose only skill was yelling out his name, although she wasn't that skilled in doing that, if he really thought about it. But she had improved. With her chakra affinity now known, she at least had some ninjutsu in her repertoire. But he did find it annoying that she came bugging him about fire techniques. After some time, he finally found out that Naruto's affinity was wind. If Kakashi knew, He sure didn't say anything about it, and he was sure Sakura was oblivious to anything and anyone but him, so she obviously didn't know. He had scowled when he once spotted Naruto training and realized his Sharingan couldn't copy Naruto's Fudenjutsu. He was also very sure Naruto knew he was there at that time, too. Yes, he had admitted to himself that Naruto was a formidable shinobi. He had already proven that he was on a higher level than Aburame Shino and Inazuka Kiba, in his eyes. He was curious to find out how long it would take to defeat Naruto in a fight. Would it be seconds or minutes, he wondered. This Chunin exam would be a good test to see how far he had gotten. His fight against that weird fake hunter Nin was rather disappointing, as he had quite evidently lost that battle. But at least that fight had made his Sharingan stronger. He could see a lot more now. As far as he knew, Naruto had Fudenjutsu and barrier-type techniques. He also had that Cage Bunshin. The warning Kakashi gave him still rang in his mind. Don't copy that technique, Sasuke. Naruto is an exception, but even Chunin have trouble controlling the Cage Bunshin no Jutsu and usually don't use the chakra draining technique. He received no clarification about the warning. He wondered if Naruto had so much chakra, then. Kakashi had already taught him a new jutsu, one that was very powerful, the Chidori. With his Sharingan this far developed and his arsenal of lightning-based jutsu expanding, Kakashi thought it'd be helpful. Sasuke smirked. Helpful, indeed. Konohagakure no Sato, so different than Tsunagakure. People didn't look at him in fear, for a few seconds at least. It seemed it was inevitable that others would always be afraid of him. It was a good thing. In Suna, sandstorms were somewhat common, but in the Leaf there was none of that. It seemed rather peaceful, but that admittance was quickly squashed as he continued to walk through the streets. Such thoughts were quite unbecoming for a person like himself. Besides, once given the signal, he had permission to obliterate this entire village. His siblings were moving in and around all of Konaha, trying to be helpful to their own country, while in truth they were nothing. Barely pawns, even. Sabaku no Gaara. The red-haired Suna nin merely glanced over his shoulder to see who had called his name. Until given the signal, he was to do as little as possible, meaning, he was supposed to kill as few people as possible. Gaara frowned, however, as he saw the blonde Konoha genin behind him. I remember you, Uzumaki Naruto. I've come to talk to you. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki started. Talk? We've nothing to talk about. We will battle, if you are in the Chunin exams, was Gaara's response. I don't know yet, but I do know something about you, Gaara. Naruto grinned at the skeptic frown on Gaara's face. You should know, you and I are very much alike. Enough with this nonsense. You are annoying me. If you will not leave, I will be forced to kill you. So, the Sand Shinobi got cut off. You have a demon inside of you. With those words, Gaara's eyes had widened. Just like me. Gaara's hands clenched into fists, his anger growing. Just like you. With his patience run out, Gaara's intent to kill the brat in front of him rose, and he already had the blonde caught in his sand. Die. Sabaku Q. Using his chakra, he made a huge hand of nothing but sand grab onto Naruto and squeezed him to death. Sabaku Su. Seeing no blood anywhere, Gaara undid his technique and saw, to his slight surprise, no body parts. I see. You're faster than I thought. It's not speed that prevented my death, came Naruto's voice from behind Gaara. I am a clone. Gaara's eyes widened as he saw several other clones of Naruto around him. What, real bodies? What jutsu is this? It is Cage Bunshin no Jutsu. Don't bother trying to see which one is the real me, because I'm still hiding myself. The blonde shook his head at Gaara's rage. Thanks to you, other shinobi are already on their way to investigate on the chakra release here. Gaara growled a bit, hesitating on if he should attack all these clones and kill the real Naruto or just stand still and listen. We need to talk. We're both Jinchuriki, we can understand each other better than anyone. I'm not sure if you have questions, but I sure do. Unfortunately we can't talk here and not now. With that, Naruto dispelled all his clones and left Gaara to himself. The Shukaku Jinchuriki snorted at all the smoke around him and continued walking through the abandoned street. An Anbu squad had just arrived on top of a roof overlooking the same street but saw nothing but smoke and the Suna genin. Questions. Gaara repeated in his own head. Interesting. Konoha is turning out to be more interesting than I expected. After their Chunin had informed them they were nominated for the Chunin exams and it was up to them whether to take it or not, Sakura watched Sasuke walk away with an unsure expression swimming on her face. She was sure Sasuke was going to take it, and, as she looked at Naruto, who was reading the scroll in his hands, with Kakashi standing next to him reading his small book, She was also sure Naruto was going to take it as well. What about her? Was she ready for this Chunin exam? Were her skills above Gen in rank? Had she garnered enough experience through missions? If she thought about it, she was pretty sure that Sasuke was above Genin and, though she was hating to admit it, even Naruto had shown skills that were above Genin level. Heck, the Kage Bunshin was a Junin level technique. Sakura-chan? You alright? Sakura whipped her gaze from the ground to the worried-looking Naruto and gave a short, nervous laugh. Of course I'm alright, Naruto. Are you stupid?
Naruto simply frowned at her and even Kakashi momentarily looked away from his Ika dose. Well, it's just that, you didn't ask Sasuke out and, you were kinda, mumbling to yourself.
Sakura stared. I'm not kidding, Naruto quickly yelled, afraid. It was just weird, that's all. Sakura. Came Kakashi's voice. It's up to you to decide if you're ready for the Chunin exams or not. He pointedly glanced at the forms in Sakura's hands. I only gave you the application forms, nothing else. The blonde in between them glanced back and forth. So, Sakura-chan? You wanna train? Sakura suddenly smiled at Kakashi and then turned to Naruto. Yes.
Just a minute, I need to talk to Naruto in private. Kakashi held up his hand. It won't take too long, Sakura.
She watched her Junin instructor and teammate walk away and sat down on the ground. She never though, imagined, that she would be training with Naruto, of all people, to see if she was a talented shinobi or not. But the truth was, she viewed Naruto as the only one who was close to Sasuke's level. Even Kiba, who was second best in class, seemed inferior. Weird. Since when did she regard Naruto in such high lights?
So, I'm sure you already know what I want to talk about, Naruto. The copy ninja started. We haven't had the chance to really talk about the mission in Wave. You never told me what happened and what techniques you used. The only information given to me by Hokage-sama was that you used the Hiraishin no Jutsu.
Yeah, I know the Hiraishin no Jutsu. I've learned it in the same way I've learned the Shishi engine, Kakashi-sensei. The blonde stated. But I can't tell you more than that. Hokage-sama told me not to say anything else as it is. Classified, yes. Kakashi finished. I want you to know, though, the meaning of a team, especially one like ours. We need to trust each other completely. You, me, Sakura and Sasuke. If we want to work as a team, we need to know all about each other. As your teacher, I need to know what you can do, about everything that you can do. I know, Kakashi-sensei. I will tell you everything. Just, not yet. Naruto nodded. I will tell you this, my affinity is wind. Yes, that I already knew. I'm more observant than you think, Naruto. Kakashi then glanced away from Naruto the waiting Sakura. Anyway, Sakura needs some confidence. I think you can give it to her.
The Jinchuriki looked puzzled. How? Train with her. But, don't hold back. Show her where she stands and then, teach her. In her eyes, you've grown immensely. She'll believe she can do the same. Kakashi explained. If you ask me, she's good enough already for this Chunin exam. But a little boost won't hurt anyone. You know Fuinjutsu, right? Her affinity is fire. Can you figure something out?
Naruto was already grinning. So, you've learned the Kaden, Gukaku no Jutsu. Huh? Naruto was chatting away as he and Sakura were walking towards a random training field. So that means that stuck-up bastard taught you something, right?
Sakura fixed the blonde with a powerful glare. Naruto, don't call Sasuke-kun a bastard. She then paused, looked away from Naruto and sighed. But it wasn't Sasuke-kun who taught me. Kakashi-sensei did.
Huh? But that means he took that mask of his off for you? The pink-haired Genin shook her head. No, he didn't. He just showed me the seals and told me how to use the chakra. I was actually waiting for it too, at the time. Naruto seemed lost in thought as he thought about the technique Sasuke was so good at. Doesn't it hurt, breathing out fire? Normally, yeah. But Kakashi-sensei told me my chakra control was really good. He said I used the perfect amount of chakra so no harm comes to me when I breath the fire out. Sakura explained. Whoa, you're awesome, Sakura-chan. I want you to use your fire technique against me. He yelled out loud as they finally reached one of Konaha's training grounds.
The young Haruno stopped walking and stared at Naruto's back. Nay, Naruto, what is your chakra affinity? He slightly turned his head over his shoulder and smiled at her. You don't know. Mine is wind. So, let's see what happens when we use fire and wind against each other. Overcoming the shock from learning Naruto had the wind affinity, she quickly admonished. Are you stupid? Your wind jutsu would simply make my fire jutsu stronger.
Naruto frowned. We'll see about that. Sakura frowned back and then shook her head. Fine, I'll show you. Scene break. Kaiten. Gukakyu no Jutsu, Futen. Renkuden. As expected, Sakura's fire breathing technique overpowered Naruto's wind breathing technique, resulting in a large stream of fire heading straight for the blonde. Sakura's eyes widened as her fire breath turned massive fire blast enveloped Naruto completely and quickly ran to her teammate's location, Naruto. As the smoke cleared away, she could see Naruto in the center of a small crater, completely unharmed. No worries, Sakura-chan. You were right, wind is really useless against fire. How can you be completely fine? You sound disappointed, Naruto pouted. Oh, of course not, I was worried sick. Well, I have a secret technique. Hijutsu? Naruto grinned, feeling smug. I turned your advantage into my advantage. Are you going to explain it? Sakura grinded her teeth at Naruto, who seemed to shine in his own confidence. Ah, Sakura-chan. The best secrets are the ones never told. He then watched Sakura with a critical eye. How come you look so tired? The Gukakyu no Jutsu, it takes a lot of chakra. I can only perform one. So, it's kind of a last resort technique for me. Sakura elaborated. But, Kakashi-sensei said that genin normally can't perform this technique. But, Sasuke's Gukakyu no Jutsu was a lot more powerful than Sakura's, wasn't it? Naruto thought. Well, you need to train so you can at least use 3 of those jutsu in a row. 3? Are you crazy? I don't have as much chakra inside me, Naruto. Well, then let's get you some more. Both genin suddenly turned around at the arrival of a very tall individual. Jiraiya-sama. Naruto let out, surprised. Jiraiya-sama? Sakura repeated. One of the legendary Sannin? Yup, that's me. I was watching you two and I'll offer you some training. You two up for it? Jiraiya grinned. He nodded once to the big scroll strapped on his back as he stared at Naruto. It's only been a few days and he was already having trouble keeping his own anger in check. When walking their own grounds, he would have many outbursts, simply because fear triggered a certain reaction in him. Fear provoked his anger, after all. But this was different. She asked her younger brother and teacher about it, but they knew of nothing.
Baki, however, did ask her about any significant shinobi in Konaha, but she could think of no one spectacular. Kankuro had then spoken about Uzumaki Naruto, the blonde kid that they had met a few days ago. Coincidence would have Gaara in the same room at that time. His reaction was quite violent, so to say. They had to relocate themselves as their apartment was no longer there. He has to be the reason Gaara is having such hard time, Tamari thought as she started approaching the Konaha genin. So, it basically seems the same, huh? Tamari heard the blonde say to no one in particular. Indeed. She double-checked, Tamari blinked as she saw the blonde talk to no one at all in the streets. And yet, she did hear a second voice respond. Many villagers were walking around the blonde leaf nin, ignoring him or glaring at him, but none were actually paying enough attention to him to notice he was talking to himself. Or was he? Wait a minute, the villagers were glaring at him. Tamari took a few seconds to observe the situation in front of her and hid herself in a tree overlooking the street. Naruto was still talking to himself, apparently. She was correct in her first observations. All the villagers were pointedly ignoring Naruto, while others spitefully glared at him. It was clear everyone detested him. This situation, it's so similar, yet so different. She had then decided. Look, it works. How about we move on to the next thing? We should work on sounds. Right now we're probably looking like 2 complete morons. Naruto shrugged with a silly smile on his face. I don't mind if they think of me that way. It's actually better, that way. Uzumaki Naruto. The Konoha ninja turned towards Tamari and gave a friendly smile. Ah, you're Gaara's sister, right? Aerial Perspective Chapter 5. Handyman. Fuin Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto slowly uttered as he looked at the drawings on the scroll on the ground. Using written seals instead of hand seals to create a clone. With chakra infused into the written seals, it is actually a summon of a clone of myself and it seems the same as Kage Bunshin, but, other than that, what is its purpose? No clue, another Naruto replied, also studying the scroll. But the real Naruto went out with one of them to see. It seems useless, since he's been working on this for weeks already. A third Naruto commented while walking out of the kitchen. The 3 Kage Bunshin were walking around in Naruto's apartment. He should be focusing on perfecting his Yuken techniques. Still,
This Fuin Bunshin no Jutsu is easily performed and can be implemented in our shinobi outfit, resulting in easy jutsu access, for all Kage Bunshin. He winked. Which means we only have to gather chakra to perform the Fuin Bunshin. Since it's been established it's already the same as Kage Bunshin, usage is obvious. Maybe it is implementable, but Naruto's never added anything to his shinobi outfit before and his skill in Fuinjutsu isn't that high yet.
Which brings me to his next experiment, the Jiken. It's a highly advanced Fuinjutsu, fixated on the eyes. Once performed, it's permanent. The rank of this Fuinjutsu equals that of the Shiki Fuin.
He'll need Jiraiya-sama to figure out if that works or not. Something that big comes with a downside. It's probably why he hasn't tried it out yet. Yes. Sabaku no Tamari. She introduced herself, once again, much to her own displeasure. She never did like it when people couldn't remember her name. I wanted to talk to you. About Gaara. Naruto nodded his head, before turning his head to the left. Tell the others I'll be back soon. Tamari looked somewhat dumbfounded before she frowned at the boy in front of her. Who are you talking to? Huh? Came the response. To my clone, of course. The female Sunanin's frown deepened. There's no one there. This time, Naruto frowned. But then, slowly, a grin came to his face. Oh? This is interesting. Dispel yourself. He ordered the seemingly empty space next to him. Tamari felt a slight breeze of air and after that, a small amount of smoke right at the spot Naruto seemed to be talking to. Wait, was there really something there? Alright. Let's talk. Naruto felt really good about himself. The Fuin Bunshin is very helpful. Jiraiya was making his way to the office of the Hokage. He decided to take his time as he had a lot of things to think about. He was a seal specialist and has had his own way of creating seals. Namikaze Minato was a seal specialist and he also had a way of creating seals. He admitted that he sometimes had trouble understanding the fourth seals, but in the end he understood. The seals implemented on Naruto's outfit, however, he just didn't understand and he probably never would. It definitely wasn't Minato's style, he was sure of it. He didn't want to admit it, but it seemed that those seals were even more complicated than Minato's. The thought frightened him. If someone was helping Naruto, someone more skilled in Fuinjutsu than the fourth Hokage and himself, he would have to pay close attention to the blonde kid. Very close attention. The toad hermit slowly walked up the stairs that lead to the Hokage's office. The kid learns fast, too. His basic element is Fuden, but he already knows how to seal other elements into scrolls so he can use those too. Not only that, his hand seal speed is insane. Someone must have been training him in that. A fresh genin like him shouldn't be able to perform jutsu so quickly. Jiraiya, I've been waiting. The legendary shinobi frowned as the third Hokage was actually standing at the top of the stairs. Shouldn't you be busy signing your paperwork, Sarutobi-sensei? Hiruzen sent him a serious gaze as a reaction. Certain things are more important at the moment. Follow me, Jiraiya. He did as he was told and soon found himself in the old Sarutobi's office. As he watched the third take a seat, he quickly noticed the third's viewing orb on the desk, next to a massive pile of paperwork. His sweat dropped for a second. Being Hokage sucks. Our Naruto is very open about certain things he shouldn't be open about. The old man put a hand on the ball of glass. I've chosen to observe him every now and then and what I saw today did not please me. He has spoken to Asuna Shinobi about being a Jinchuriki. Most likely, the Kazekage now knows Konaha is housing a Jinchuriki. Thanks to Naruto, though, we also know Suna is housing one as well. Sabaku no Gaara is a Jinchuriki and he is in the Chunin exams. I must say, Naruto's doing an excellent job of gathering information, although he shouldn't be sharing secrets. Was the opinion Jiraiya gave. What else did you see? That alone was enough to worry me, Jiraiya. Not even shinobi his own age, in Konoha. No, he is a Jinchuriki, but now, Suna knows he is. He must be told he is prohibited of speaking of it. Seeing that you've taken the task of being his sensei, I want you to inform him. As far as I know, Hitaki Kakashi is his Junin, right? I'm nothing official to him, except a godfather, old man. But don't worry, I'll tell the brat. He then paused. You can use that glass ball of yours to view the bathing houses, can't you? He yelled out, suddenly shocked. The third coughed in his fist. Now then, how about telling me about what you found out about the boy? The boy's good. He's Chunin level and I am not joking around. That outfit of his? I can't sense him thanks to that. Usually, when a shinobi performs a technique, he or she has to gather chakra, right? It's a fact. When he does it, his outfit makes sure no one can sense that chakra. It's amazing. I haven't seen a lot of what he can do but what I've seen is impressive. There's one thing that's really bothering me, though. The Hokage nodded his head, a bit apprehensive. He's not even trying, he's holding back a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a massive shitload. The kid is as secretive as his dad was. Sarutobi nodded his head. I figured as much. While Sakura had trained a bit under Jiraiya alongside Naruto, Kakashi had been training Sasuke. The copycat was impressed with how far Sasuke had grown since he started off as Genin until now. He was fairly confident the young Uchiha would become Chunin this month. Already he noticed that both of Sasuke's eyes had two tomos. Next to Sasuke, you had Naruto, who already knew the feared Hiraishin no Jutsu. A little bird also told him about Sakura training with the blonde, so, yes, his team would be one of the strongest in this Chunin exam. Kakashi-sensei. Kakashi almost dropped his book in surprise at the sound of Naruto's voice, in front of him. Did one of his students, a Genin, sneak up on him? But then, why couldn't he see him? I must be hearing things. He mumbled to himself as his one active eye found its way back to Icha Paradise. No, you're not. He closed his book in one go and quickly put it in one of his pockets. Show yourself, Naruto. Ah, I'm right in front of you, sensei. I think your sight is failing you in your age, came the infuriating and obviously entertained voice. Kakashi revealed his Sharingan and suddenly saw Naruto standing right in front of him. How? What jutsu is this, Naruto? Only my Sharingan can see you. Is this Maiseigakur no jutsu? I'm not telling. It's classified, he cheekily replied, a grin very active on his face. Definitely not that jutsu you just named, though. But now I know the Sharingan can see me, the Naruto in front of Kakashi then dispelled. A clone? Kakashi couldn't help but let out. Naruto, what kind of jutsu are you making? The three of them had decided to meet together before entering the building where the first test of the Chunin exam was being held. Along the way, Sasuke and Sakura shared confused and wary looks with one another as Naruto seemed to chuckle occasionally, as if someone had just told him a joke. As they walked the stairs leading up to the third floor, Naruto shivered. Sasuke stopped walking and Sakura simply stared at the group of genin being held up by two Chunin proctors. Hey! If you can't even handle that much, you should quit being a shinobi, let alone try to become Chunin. Team 7 observed how a young genin, just a bit older than them, was on the ground, obviously having been hit by one of the Chunin. He was wearing a green jumpsuit. Shay! How pathetic! Sasuke had chosen that time to intervene by stepping up between the Chunin and the genin. This genjutsu. He then turned slightly to look at his teammates. You noticed, didn't you? Obviously. Sakura responded as she walked towards Sasuke. This is the second floor, after all. Genjutsu, huh? Naruto thought. My outfit lets me know there's a genjutsu by making me feel cold, ingenious, future me. It's obvious how it was created. The reaction comes when I walk into a foreign, active chakra source. The seal that activates needs to be refilled with my chakra. The blonde thought as he searched his outfit for the genjutsu warner. Oi, dead last, you coming? Sasuke sent Naruto a bored look. At that exact time, the Chunin chose to attack Sasuke, but Sasuke had already foreseen it and had kicked the Chunin back against the door behind him. Don't try anything stupid, Chunin. Sasuke let out, unimpressed. Clearly the Uchiha was thinking this Chunin was weak. The boy on the ground was impressed by the speed Sasuke had displayed. He had been thinking of interfering with the Chunin's attack as well, but the Uchiha beat him to it, and fast. Uchiha Sasuke-kun, right? Sasuke was daring the other Chunin to attack him as well before he turned to Lee. Yes? I am Rock Lee. The boy bowed and turned to Team 7's other members after. Then you must be Haruno Sakura. Your name means we are meant to be together. Sasuke frowned. Naruto burst out into laughter and Sakura looked horrified. It's true, he confirmed to himself. Big brow, was all Sakura managed to let out, making Naruto laugh even harder. Fuzzy eyebrows. Ha ha ha. Now I know who he meant, Naruto laughed, before suddenly turning serious. He's a precious comrade. He glanced at Lee's teammates, and so are they. Lee was about to frown at the blonde, before his teammates approached him from behind. Oi, Lee, I thought you said you didn't want to stand out. What are you doing? My true love. Lee danced towards Sakura, who reacted by planting her fist straight into Lee's face. Shanaru, stay away from me. Neji had easily stopped Lee's flight and set him on his feet again. Interesting, so this is Kakashi's team, Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and, he looked at the snickering blonde in the corner. I don't know his name,
but I can already tell that doesn't matter. The real deal is Uchiha Sasuke or his Sharingan.
They all made their way towards the next floor when Lee stopped his team. There is something I must do.
Naruto was chuckling again as they were walking through a big room, allowing entrance to the first test of the exam. Why are you laughing all the time, Naruto? These exams are serious. The pink-haired girl suddenly rounded on Naruto.
I'm sorry, Sakura-chan. It's just that I was thinking about that guy, Rock Lee. I'm trying to forget all of that. Stop talking and stop thinking about it, she ordered. Those big bro. Excuse me. A voice interrupted her speech. Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto looked up to see the person they were just talking about. Gah. Sakura tightened her right fist. You want another one? Lee seemed flustered as he rubbed his sore cheek. No, in truth, that punch had really hurt him. He was sure he had never been hit that hard. Uchiha Sasuke. I am Rock Lee. The entirety of Team 7 frowned. He had already introduced himself before, right? They all thought in unison. I wish to fight you. Knowing I am an Uchiha, you still want to fight me? Sasuke boasted. You must be crazy. Exactly, because you are an Uchiha, I can prove a point.
Sasuke shrugged. Fine, show me your moves. He activated his Sharingan, and Naruto seemed a bit relieved at that time.
So those are the Sharingan eyes. Lee spoke as he jumped down to stand face to face with Sasuke. I will not hold back now, Uchiha Sasuke. Bring it. Their movements were fast, real fast. Guy was very impressed as he watched how Kakashi's prize student was fighting his own student, Rock Lee. Hidden in the shadows, unseen by anyone, Lee's sensei could easily observe the sparring match. Sasuke was easily dodging every attack Lee threw at him. Not bad at all, Kakashi. Your kid knows how to move. But it was pretty obvious the movements were tiring the Uchiha out quite a bit. If Lee loses the weights, he'd probably be the better of the two. Uchiha Sasuke-kun. You are a worthy opponent. Lee yelled in between attacks. I never thought you'd be this good, really. Just wait until I'll be the one attacking. Sasuke said as he jumped around Lee's roundhouse kick and ducked under the follow-up kick. After that, he jumped back to avoid another roundhouse kick. This Lee character is better than I thought. I can't find an opening, he thought as he landed a few feet away from Lee. The boy with the big eyebrows bowed. Uchiha Sasuke-kun. I shall now take this match seriously. Sasuke frowned. Seriously? But Lee suddenly looked scared and Sasuke didn't do anything. Guy-sensei. Sasuke jumped to 360, creating distance between him and the man who had appeared behind him. Shit, I didn't sense this guy at all. Without any warning, Lee got hit in the face, while Sasuke was still staring at Guy, who had just now disappeared. Lee. You were just about to break a rule. You know what that means. Sasuke turned around to see Guy towering above Lee. This guy might even be faster than Kakashi. Guy-sensei. I apologize. This means I must walk backwards 15 times around the village on my hands. If I fail to do so, I shall try it again, but then adding 100 push-ups after every 10 steps. Sakura's eyes widened at the crazy punishment, while Naruto seemed to wonder a bit about it, his right hand on his chin. That kid's crazy all right. Sasuke was slightly panting, staring at the two lookalikes in front of him. You are his sensei? The Uchiha asked. Why yes, young man, Guy hollered. I am Maeda Guy, teacher of Rock Lee. These guys really like introducing themselves, Sakura stared. You guys are pretty fast, Naruto suddenly voiced. But I've seen a whole lot faster, he grinned. Guy and Lee just returned the grin. Trust me, boy, you haven't seen us at our fastest. The blonde returned the grin tenfold. I should hope so, otherwise you might as well quit this Chunin exam right here and now. Sasuke and Sakura frowned at Naruto, who now seemed to chuckle wildly. Guy and Lee both stared at each other with shiny smiles. We'll show you why we will never quit. Naruto nodded his head. These two, they will be powerful comrades. He walked over to Sasuke and handed him a soldier pill. Let's get going. We have a Chunin exam to finish. Sasuke's eyes were widened greatly. The moment the first test had started, Sasuke knew you had to cheat it to beat it. So, as he watched a random Hyuga activate his Byakugan, he activated his Sharingan. The moment he did, though, he almost fell off his chair. The room was filled with 100 clones of Naruto. And they were all yelling. But, Sasuke wasn't hearing anything. He could only see how they all seemed to be yelling at one another in the classroom.
Wow, what is this? What is Naruto thinking?
He checked a random Hyuga, the same as before, to see if he was noticing anything, but he could tell he didn't. Only the Sharingan could, apparently, see this version of Naruto's clone. So many, there were about 4 clones standing by every student. The young Uchiha was sure all the clones were yelling random answers at the real Naruto. His Sharingan could also see that these clones could walk through things. Very similar to the normal Bunshin, yet invisible.
Ingenious, this jutsu, Sasuke thought. Trying to ignore all of Naruto's clones, Sasuke chose to use his Sharingan to copy the right answers off of Naruto's movements. Who would have thought I would be copying Naruto? I should feel ashamed. He moved his hands. And he moved so sloppy, too. As soon as Mitarashi Anko crashed into the room through the window, Sakura knew Naruto would like this woman. Turning her head, she shook her head shortly with a smile on her face as Naruto looked very enthusiastic.
Not bad, Ibiki, not many left, but still too much. I'll be cutting this little group in half, be sure of it. Alright, follow my you goddamn midgets, Anko yelled out to the remaining genin in the classroom. They followed the special Chunin to giant forest, with trees that seemed to be able to scratch a few clouds, even. This here is the forest of death. Anko frowned at the silence. She looked at the group and saw only a few staring at the forest with fear in their eyes. There was one that wasn't even looking at the forest, that kid. With the same speed Anko had thrown the kunai, she watched it being caught. She was about to use Shunshin to get behind the kid, but paused as soon as she saw that. That kid wasn't even looking at me, how could he have seen? Naruto simply chuckled. This yours? Anko released a short, barking laugh. Not bad, you ugly brat. Using Shunshin, she appeared beside Naruto and snatched her kunai back. The Jinchuriki had received several warnings of some Fuin Bunshin around, but even without those, the kunai would never have hit him. He backtracked, though. Ugly, quit showing off, Dobi. I've seen your clones. Sasuke said as he stepped next to his blonde teammate. He was going to ask Naruto what technique it was, but decided against it. He wouldn't want to be learning anything from a dead last, after all. Of course you have. The Uzumaki rolled his eyes. You and Kakashi are the only ones who can, after all. Oh, so you knew the Sharingan can see through all of your techniques? Then, you also know it's useless trying to come up with techniques that can. Sasuke. Naruto cut off. She's waiting to continue her explanations. The blonde gave his teammate a deadpan look, before pointing at Anko, who was frowning at him. The Uchiha folded his arms and looked elsewhere. As I was saying, you fill in these forms and you're allowed to die. Naruto chuckled as soon as his team walked through the gate entering the forest of death. Guess what, guys? Sasuke and Sakura looked at him, both looking a bit tired. What is it now, Naruto? The pink-haired of the team asked. I know which team carries which scroll already. The blonde couldn't contain his laughter. I've got a few clones trailing every team, too. Sakura looked dumbfounded, while Sasuke actually smirked. So? Trailing them doesn't mean you know where they are. You're with us, you stupid idiot. They can't let you know. By the time they've traveled all the way to you, their positions already change. And that's ignoring the fact your clones probably have the same intelligence as you, so they won't be able to find you. Whoa. Naruto grinned. You sure like to bomb my techniques, huh, Sasuke? But you're wrong. As soon as my clone dispels, I get their information. Tee-hee-hee-hee. We're winning this thing, easy. Sasuke and Sakura looked shocked, stared at each other, before staring back at Sasuke.
So, what do you know so far, Naruto? Hesitantly, Sakura managed to ask.
Well, it's a bit alarming, but, apparently, there's this grass shinobi who's only out to test out Sasuke here. Sasuke glared at Naruto, while Sakura straight out bumped him on the head.
This is no time for jokes, Naruto. I'm not kidding, Naruto said, absent-mindedly rubbing the back of his head. He's heading straight first, but it's going to take a while before he's here. That guy's good, too, faster than me. He kinda looks like a girl, though.
Everyone's faster than you, Dobi. Sasuke retorted. I'll deal with this grass shinobi as soon as he comes close. Let's just find a scroll and finish this test. Anywhere close? Sasuke asked Naruto without looking at him. No way was the Avenger going to admit he needed Naruto's help in anything.
I have nothing yet. Naruto suddenly moved his head a bit to the right. A chakra signature, behind me. So soon already. Let's see if Sasuke or Sakura notice.
We've got company. Sasuke suddenly whispered, grabbing a kunai and throwing at a tree behind Naruto. Pathetic. The young Avenger grinned as he chased the enemy genin. Don't interfere, he's alone. I'll deal with it. Naruto created a cage bunshin and dispelled it immediately. His female teammate didn't understand and sent him a look.
Oh, well, what you just saw me do was sharing information with my other clones. All the information I have, a newly created cage bunshin also has. So all my Fuin bunshin now know Sasuke is fighting a shinobi from Rain. And I know, he got cut off by himself. See, now I know this guy Sasuke is fighting does not have the scroll. Obviously, one of the clones that was trailing the team of the Rain ninja Sasuke was fighting, had dispelled itself to let Naruto know.
Sakura swallowed deeply. Damn, I never thought Naruto could be this handy. Sasuke landed in front of Sakura and Naruto with a dirty snort. The damn coward ran away. He's injured, but I can't afford to leave you two by yourselves. If any of you get killed I won't become Chunin. Naruto burst out laughing, while Sakura seemed a bit hurt. Anyway, Naruto started. That guy didn't have the scroll. I know which way to go to steal a scroll from a team of familiar people. They're not too far away. Who? The Konaha prankster looked at Sakura and chuckled. I'll give you a hint. It's the team with the laziest shinobi you know. As Team 7 started walking, Naruto suddenly paused. Also, Sasuke. The Uchiha grunted a reply. It seems this grass shinobi isn't the only one after you. One my bunshin just dispelled to let me know 3 shinobi from the sound are also after you. You're a popular guy. Elsewhere in the Forest of Death. Naruto-kun. You know my name. The blonde nodded his head once. Yeah, you're definitely fishy, mister. The grass shinobi in front of the lone genin of Team 7 chuckled. Strange, as I recall, your team was dispatched in an entirely different area of this forest. And you would know how? The Kyuubi container asked with a frown etched on his face. Ah, very sharp of you. The grass nin didn't really answer. Naruto didn't like this. This creepy ninja was way too confident in his stance. Who are you? If you can defeat me, I'll answer you. Naruto sighed. I assume you're not some kind of clone? Orochimaru chuckled. No, I'm not. Why do you ask? All of a sudden, Orochimaru watched as his world got surrounded by purple walls. What? Shishi engine. Naruto grinned at the shinobi in front of him. You're stronger than me. I don't care who you are or what you want from Sasuke, but you're not moving another step closer to my team. You insolent little. Orochimaru slowly started approaching Naruto. Hold up. Naruto held out his hand. I am just a cage bunshin. The Shishi engine is also just performed by cage bunshin. He then chuckled loudly in Orochimaru's face. There's nothing you can do here but wait. Ha 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 ha. He chuckled some more just to get the message through. Without warning, Naruto's head got snapped from behind, just before he dispelled. Orochimaru's eyes searched for the 4 cage bunshin that were performing the Shishi engine but noticed they were all protected by the same barrier. Uzumaki Naruto, you've got a few tricks up your sleeve. I'll be sure to kill you as soon as the chakra runs out of these shadow clones. There was a strange tension hovering in between their team. Considering the team members, one would consider it normal, but to Hyuga Hinata, this was stranger than usual. With the countless conversations observed by the young lady, she knew the two of them were having trouble with something. The two of them being Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino, 2 individuals who didn't get along that well even outside of a Chunin exam. No, this was entirely different. Alright, stop it already. Hinata didn't look that surprised to see Kiba stop jumping from branch to branch and yelling out something random. Her teammate simply was impulsive like that, as, she thought, perhaps all Inuzuka were. What came next did surprise her, though. It's impossible for a dead last, alright, Akamaru. Dead last. Hinata repeated Kiba's words in her head just to be sure, but, in Kiba's eyes, wasn't Naruto-kun the dead last? Did something happen to Naruto-kun? Peculiar. Shino suddenly commented. Hinata flinched as she had forgotten the Aburame was standing next to her, on the same tree branch. He and her had jumped one further ahead than Kiba. My bugs seem to be telling me the same thing, if it is what I think Akamaru is telling you. Usually, Kiba would go on an endless rant against his teammate. Thus, to Hinata's surprise, yeah, he says Naruto's chakra has been around us since the start of the first exam. But that's impossible. Since when does that dead last know tracking ninjutsu? Not tracking ninjutsu. Hinata heard Shino reply. Were her teammates actually having a normal conversation? This chakra is as organized as a familiar jutsu we all know. The Bunshin no Jutsu. Of course, Shino's bugs were quite specialized in chakra. I assume we are somehow being followed by invisible clones. Quite a technique. But that's impossible. It's Naruto, damn it. Kiba sputtered. The dog-like boy glared at the ground. He knew Orochimaru was right, though. This was definitely Naruto's chakra all around them. So, these Bunshin are just watching us? And then, to all of their surprise, Naruto's voice came through the clearing. Yup. Hinata jumped back, even though she wasn't even sure where the voice came from. She quickly activated her Byakugan, but all she saw was chakra clouds around her. You can see him, Hinata? Kiba asked. That damn bastard. All I can see is chakra, she stated, unsure of herself.
But organized, I'm sure. Shino followed up, not organized, but concentrated. I can see clouds of chakra. The Hyuga female explained. The bug user nodded his head. Uzumaki Naruto, I presume. He spoke out loud. May I inquire, why are you following us?
I'm not following you, came the answer from behind them. I'm protecting you. Aerial Perspective Chapter 6. No longer in the shadows. As she surveyed the gruesome massacre in front of her, she couldn't help but watch her little brother with wary eyes. Jinchuriki were truly dangerous shinobi, uncontrollable monsters. At least, that's what she thought before she met Uzumaki Naruto. The strange blonde Konaha nin had truly surprised her. Flashback Tamari was following the blonde to a small clearing, near the street they just met. We can't really talk here. Naruto muttered. Being a Jinchuriki means no privacy at all. So, I'm taking you somewhere. Tamari's eyes widened as the blonde guy dared to lay his right hand on her shoulder. She was a no-nonsense girl, so she was about to retort when
she was in an entirely different place than before. He used Shunshin. Naruto smiled. Alright, this should do. The female Suna shinobi took a look at her surroundings and found she was inside an apartment.
A shitty apartment. This is my home. I'm sure you understand that these excellent living quarters come with the privilege of being a Jinchuriki. Tamari saw no humor in Naruto's grin. None at all. Anyway, about Sabaku no Gaara. I understand your brother completely, Tamari-san. We're the same. He's not like you at all, Tamari hissed. You're friendly. You're completely different. Gaara's never nice like this. I don't know much about him. The male admitted with slight regret. I don't even know which demon is inside of him. Tamari hesitated. She wasn't sure if she should share any information about her brother with anyone, but this guy in front of her seemed very trustworthy. Strange, since when did she trust people? But still, was this guy for real? Was he a Jinchuriki, too? Wasn't he just lying to get information? I wish to learn more about Gaara, Tamari-san. She looked up to see Naruto talking. I myself hold the nine-tailed Kyuubi. Here. He lifted his black jacket slightly to let Tamari observe the ceiling on his stomach. I want to help your brother. I wish to befriend him. Tamari gulped and took a step backwards, accidentally crushing a ramen bowl under her feet. Don't worry about that. I've got like hundreds more of those. The sand ninja took a look at the remains of the bowl and decided then. My brother, he holds the one tail, Shukaku. He can't sleep at night, so he's very unstable. He can't sleep at night. How come? My father, the Kazekage, he told me the demon eats away at his personality when he sleeps, so either way, it's bad whether he sleeps or not. Tamari stated, her eyes sharp and angry. It's unfair. My brother can't help it, he's like this. Naruto nodded his head. It seems his seal isn't complete. Although I'm not a real Fuinjutsu expert yet, I do know quite a lot. But I know someone who's really good in it. I can help. He then stared Tamari right in the eyes. I promise, Tamari-san, I'll fix it so he can sleep. End flashback. Gaara, Tamari started. Her red-haired brother was watching the bloodbath in front of him, probably feeling content for the moment. Let's find Uzumaki Naruto. Gaara stated. He and I have unfinished business. Kamkaru had just found the scroll they needed when he heard his little brother say that. What? As usual, Gaara just ignored him and started walking into a direction he believed Naruto was. Naruto shot a look across the clearing below him, watching as his two teammates and a shadow clone of himself were approaching the confused forms of Team 10. This isn't that bothersome for a change. Shikamaru grinned. I was looking for your team. You must be crazy, you big forehead, Ino screeched. Don't worry, Sasuke-kun. We will only kick your teammates' asses. Choji stayed quiet, while Shikamaru narrowed his eyes at Naruto. He's quiet, that dead last. Very unlike him. Shut up, you fat pig. The pink-haired female of Team 7 countered. We'll stomp you down to the ground easily. We know you have the Earth Scroll. You'd better give it to us. This set Shikamaru off. They already know which scroll we have. They don't have a Byakugan user in their team, so how do they know? The Nara moved his gaze from Sakura to Sasuke. He's the problem here. We'll have to defeat him first. Knowing Ino's like for that guy, she's probably going to work against us, so I'll fight Sasuke. Let me try first. Shikamaru's eyes widened. Did Sakura just yell what he thought she yelled? Are you sure? Sasuke asked, folding his arms. I'll jump in as soon as I don't like where things are going. Team 10 watched as Naruto copied Sasuke and also folded his arms. Go ahead, Sakura-chan. Show us what you've learned. Impossible. Of all teams I thought their synchronization would be the worst. Shikamaru analyzed. This doesn't feel like genjutsu, so they've really grown as a team. But then, we're Ino Shikacho, nothing bests our synchronization. Sakura grabbed 2 small papers out of her kunai holster and stuck them to her wrists. Shikamaru saw how a piece of paper was stuck to each of her palms. Those are seals. Bring it, forehead, Ino hollered. Here I come, pig, Sakura shouted, rushing at Team 10. Shikamaru immediately performed hand seals for his Kage main no jutsu, but saw how Sakura suddenly vanished in front of them. Shit, Bunshin. A distraction. Just in time, Shikamaru rolled out of the way to avoid a hit from behind by Sakura. He watched as Sakura's roundhouse kick was followed up by another aimed at Ino's head. Ino jumped backwards and threw several kunai at Sakura's position, who vanished again. Another Bunshin. Choji suddenly yelled out, Shikamaru, behind you. Kaden. Gukaku no jutsu. Sasuke's eyes widened as he saw how Sakura's fireball was as big as his. What the hell? He took a look at Naruto to see the blonde grinning. Shikamaru knew he was too late to dodge and shielded himself with his arms in front of him. That was, until Choji barreled him out of the way with Nikuden Sensha. After bouncing a few times backwards, Shikamaru managed to sit up and watch his opponents. He coughed. Thanks for attacking me, Choji. The bigger boy rolled out of his jutsu and faced Shikamaru. He chuckled as he scratched the back of his head. Well, that fire jutsu would have knocked you out. Sakura grinned as she watched the results of her technique. The female member of Team 10 stood shell-shocked. What the hell, forehead? The pinkhead shot a look into Ino's direction. Looks like I have the advantage. She took a look at the seals on her hands and thanked Naruto in her head. I used less chakra, yet the results of the fireball technique were huge. Implementing these seals with wind chakra is ingenious. I never knew Naruto would be so smart. Nikuden Sensha. Sakura's eyes widened as Choji came rolling towards her and noticed Ino was just about ready to use Shintension, so she prepared to move when. Sorry, but I can't allow you to move. The Nara a few feet away from her said. Kage main no jutsu, success. Sasuke and Naruto were about to interfere, until. Same goes for you. Shikamaru let out as he rose from his knees. You two are trapped by my shadows as well. The Uchiha looked down to see Shikamaru's shadows around his and Naruto's feet. Damn. As Choji was approaching Sakura, and Ino was going to use the Shintension on either Sasuke or Naruto, another Naruto appeared behind Shikamaru. Yo. Shikamaru. Nice try. Grabbing the Nara by the collar, deactivating the Kage main, he threw the black-haired boy into a tree. Huh? The blonde from Team 10 let out as she had cancelled her jutsu. Sakura, in the meantime, had jumped over Choji's meat tank technique. Sasuke and Naruto were still in the same spot. A shadow clone, huh? Shikamaru said as he dusted himself off. Why am I the only one getting hit? Huh? How did you know we're both shadow clones? The Naruto in front of him said. This made the young Nara worried. So the real Naruto isn't here? Damn, didn't think he would be this troublesome. Naruto turned away from Shikamaru and nodded at Sasuke. You want to handle this, Sasuke? Since we'll be having company, might as well warm up some. Came the Uchiha's reply. I won't hold back. Sharingan, the lazy genius observed as he saw Sasuke's red eyes. So he's activated his Kekai Genkai. This is going to be such a hassle. He took a look at Ino and was relieved to see she was still perfectly fine. Choji had only used the Nikuden Sensha, and thus the Baika no Jutsu as well, twice. He should be fine, too. He stared at the Uchiha with determination in his eyes. Let's bring this Uchiha down. Want me to help, too? Sasuke-kun? Sakura had changed a lot, She now wore her hair in a high broad ponytail, kind of like that second Chunin examinator but longer, with 2 long bangs on each side of her face. She still wore the same outfit as she usually did, though. "Shikamaru, I'll take care of the massive forehead, alright?" Ino said as she landed next to her teammate. Sasuke sighed as he took 1 step forward. "I'll handle the other 2, Sakura." The 2 Naruto in the clearing just folded their arms and sat down on the ground. "Just let me know when you need me, okay?"
"How long?" the Uchiha asked as he observed both Shikamaru and Choji.
"I figure it'll take a few minutes." Naruto chuckled. "I wouldn't worry too much about it, though." "Shay. Let's do this." Sasuke vanished from view. Sakura and Ino rushed at each other, both performing the same hand seals. Bunshin no Jutsu. Shikamaru and Choji stood back to back as the 2 females in the clearing jumped into the trees. "He's faster than us, Choji. But he's not stronger. Just let him get close and hit him. You're stronger than him, alright?" The bigger of the 2 nodded his head and yelled, "Baika no Jutsu," while Shikamaru was ready to launch his shadows at anything that moved. The duo of Team 10 then noticed a slight breeze from above and looked up to see Sasuke descending towards them. "Kaden, Housenka no Jutsu." Several small balls of fire came raining down upon them, but they managed to dodge all of them. Sasuke landed in the spot where they were both standing before. He ignored Choji and went straight for Shikamaru. The Nara responded by throwing a smoke ball at his feet, successfully obscuring himself from Sasuke's view. The Uchiha snarled and jumped back, not wanting to fall into some kind of trap. As he jumped back, though, he noticed Choji charging at him from behind. With a quick somersault, the Avenger jumped over the meat tank, and watched as it barreled straight into the smoke cloud Shikamaru had just created. As he landed, he quickly had to avoid getting captured by shadows on the ground. Cage main no jutsu, quite a convenient technique. The Uchiha mused as his Sharingan easily told him how to avoid everything. He landed on a tree branch and watched how the smoke cleared, only to see Choji standing there. So, Shikamaru's gone elsewhere? Hidden from view, Shikamaru tried to think of plans how to beat Sasuke. His Sharingan can see through Henge and Bunshin easily. I don't know much about those eyes, but I'm guessing they also help with movements, as he was easily avoiding getting captured by the cage main. He looked a bit ahead to see Sakura chasing after Ino. Sakura's overpowering Ino, too, so we'll have to finish this quick. He then looked at the remaining member of Team 7. And then there's Naruto. He's dead last, but knowing that the real Naruto is just watching us from someplace is weird. He's known to just jump in randomly, so I'll have to be ready for that as well. Sasuke, in the meantime, had focused his attention on Choji. You're not very fast, right? Choji wanted to kick that grin off of his face. Try to dodge as long as you can, then. Performing hand seals. Sasuke released. Kaden, Housenka no Jutsu, again. Shikamaru's eyes widened as he saw his teammate and friend run for cover behind a tree, only to have it burned instantly. Getting hit once, Choji managed to find a boulder strong enough to withstand Sasuke's assault. If I had used Cage Main no Jutsu, he would have found out about my location. He was trying to lure me out. My Sharingan can see Chakra. Nara Shikamaru. Sasuke suddenly whispered. Just like that, a massive fireball was approaching Shikamaru fast. Kaden, Gukakyu no Jutsu. As Shikamaru dodged by jumping out of the bushes that were now burning, Sasuke jumped in front of him and released a kick at the Nara's head, only to be grabbed by his leg by his massive hand. Buben Baika no Jutsu. Sasuke looked surprised as Choji's right hand was as big as his entire body and was holding on to his right leg. You're not attacking my teammate. Sasuke was thrown into the ground a moment later, only to quickly jump back up. So you can grow anything you like whenever you like? I didn't know you could do that. He then shot a look at Naruto, who was still just smiling at everyone. Sasuke, Naruto stood up. Those two work pretty well together. I wish I could help you with this, but, he then pointed into a direction behind Sasuke, Shikamaru and Choji. Sakura and Ino were still having a taijutsu battle somewhere up in the trees. We've got some company. Sasuke just grinned as he saw 3 shinobi from Sound slowly walking towards them. Protect us. The bug user in Team 8 turned to Kiba, who had repeated Naruto's words. I can assume these clones of yours are unable to touch anything, since they are consistent of chakra alone? He started. And it seems you believe we need protection? As I see it, though, your own team seems more ill-prepared than ours. Wasting chakra like this won't help either of us, or do you disagree? Ah, don't worry about me. I've got a lot of chakra, came the boasting voice. Ah. Shino all but confirmed. That you have. Wait, what? You're actually agreeing with the dead last, Shino? Akamaru's master yelled. You've gotta be kidding me. Stop stalking us, you freak. We don't need protection from someone who's weaker than us. And you're creeping out Hinata, too. Hinata yelped shortly. See? I believe you are the only who is creeped out, Kiba. Shino responded, and before Kiba could retort, he continued. In any case, since he is unable to do anything but observe, we should start moving again. Now I get to really test my Sharingan. The young Uchiha radiated excitement as he faced the three newcomers. Sound Nin, huh? How about we skip introductions and get right to it? Only if you are Uchiha Sasuke. The sound shinobi in the center, covered in bandages, replied. I am. My name is Dosu, I'm here to test you. Sasuke snorted. I thought I told you to skip introductions. Man. This brat's annoying, Dosu. The other male of the sound team suddenly spoke up as he lifted his arms and faced Sasuke with his palms. Here, catch, Zankuha. A massive wind blast ripped through the clearing, but it was only aimed at Sasuke, who easily jumped out of the way. Zaku, don't just start attacking, the female of the team shouted out. Let's take our time. These are all Konaha shinobi, so they can't be too strong, can they? Kin is right. Dosu seemed to be the leader of the team. We have plenty of time. Let's see what this Uchiha kid can do. He then paused as he stared at Naruto. However, you. Naruto seemed puzzled as he was being addressed. Me? What is your name? Ah, Uzumaki Naruto. The blonde was really confused. Since when were people interested in him? Why? I already know you are a fake. Dosu started. My ears let me know that much. I do, however, have a request. At the blonde's nod, he continued. We are not here to kill. He shot Zaku a warning look. Only to fight. Please, do not interfere with our fight.
Why not? Naruto, ever the brawler, demanded. You are too powerful. I can estimate a shinobi's strength quite easily. The bandaged shinobi explained. Yours is a power I can't yet understand. In time, I will. In the meantime, I have just this one request. In return, we will not kill. You have my word.
The blonde of Team 7 sighed, folded his arms and seemed to consider Dosu with a hard look, before he reluctantly nodded his head. Cross the line and I will interfere. Sasuke and Sakura shot each other a look, both looks saying, are they stupid? Naruto's not that strong. Are you done yet? Sasuke asked. I wish to test myself as well. Dosu nodded his thanks to Naruto, before facing Sasuke. Yes. Team 10, completely ignored by the sound team and Team 7, had come together in a tree, overlooking the inevitable fight. Nay, what do you think of this, Shikamaru? Ino asked. Knowing you, you probably found out a lot by all of that, Choji added. It's strange, but, the lazy black-haired boy started. I think we should consider ourselves lucky that that sound team came. Reading the confusion on his teammates' faces, he started to elaborate. We all know Sasuke's strong. He held up a hand to stop Ino from blabbering about Sasuke. Sakura seemed to have improved as well. I'm not saying this to hurt you, Ino, but if I had to judge your little quarrel just before, she was winning. Ino let out a disgusted snort, while Choji seemed to snicker a bit. That bandage guy from the sound, he's strong. Shikamaru paused. I have noticed a few changes in Team 7. Mainly, Naruto. Ino released a small gasp. You can't mean, yeah, the Nara heaved a sigh. I think he's right. Naruto's improved a lot as well. This is too troublesome. You little brat, he was walking up to one of the shadow clones holding up the barrier. How can a genin like you know a high-level jutsu like this? It seems very unlikely. Oh yeah, this grass genin is pissed off all right. All the shadow clones thought. That's none of your business, Shimail. The shadow clone in front of Orochimaru yelled out. He was being protected by part of the barrier anyway. Naruto-kun, you should learn some manners. The grass genin suddenly exploded. And in its place was another shinobi, this one too, by Naruto's standards, a Shimail. I guess there's no helping it. You forced me to use my real body and you're even forcing me to use a high-level jutsu too. What? You're going to try to get out of the Shishi engine? Another Kage Bunshin yelled, this one on the other side of the barrier. I'm not going to try, Naruto-kun. The Snake Master sighed tiredly. I guess I'll tell you who I am, since you don't seem to recognize me. Perhaps then you'll give me the respect I deserve. He then faced the Kage Bunshin in front of him. I am Orochimaru. And then, all the Kage Bunshin turned enraged. Orochimaru? Ooh, so you do know me? Orochimaru chuckled shortly. There are some you have to get rid of immediately. Those were the words spoken to him by his future self.
I'll show you how to get past the Shishi engine. Performing a few hand seals and biting both his thumbs, Orochimaru planted his hands on the ground. Kuchiyos, Rashomon.
A massive tower shot out from the ground, spiked with a devilish monster pictured on it. The tower was so huge, it ripped through the barrier, but the barrier still remained. Where the tower hit the barrier, the tower was already starting to burn. You're probably thinking it's useless to create this, but Orochimaru suddenly walked straight into the Rashomon. One of my skills is to be able to walk in and out of my own jutsu. By walking into the Rashomon, Orochimaru would be able to escape from the barrier. Before he was fully into the Rashomon, though, all the Narutos were dispelled. Wait, Orochimaru. Orochimaru walked out of his technique and took a look at the single boy behind him. You look different, Naruto-kun. Now that I know who you are, I will kill you. Naruto, infused with Sage Chakra and Kyuubi Chakra, faced Orochimaru with sheer determination. A genin? Kill one of the Sannin? The snake nin cackled. As amused as I am, I have other matters to attend to. You're not going anywhere. Orochimaru lost sight of Naruto and found him when he found the blonde's fist in his face. You will fall here. Sasuke and Sakura looked very confused when Naruto had screamed out, "What?" and then ran away from everyone just like that. Anyo, where do you think he went, Sasuke-kun? The Haruno asked. No one cares, was the Uchiha's reply as he faced the three sound nin. I've got something more important to give my attention to. Dosu seemed to chuckle quite a bit. You're lucky I am a man of my word, Uchiha Sasuke. With the absence of the strongest of your team, we could kill you here, easily. The strongest of our team is Sasuke-kun, you idiot, Sakura immediately corrected, on which Sasuke almost seemed to beam. Foolish girl, be silent. The bandaged nin responded. You know nothing about power. Zaku, Kin, let's bring these two fools down. Sasuke smirked, activated his Sharingan and watched as Zaku readied his hands. Kin seemed to grab something out of her pockets and Dosu revealed a big metallic arm. Get ready, Sakura. They might start attacking you too. Zankuha. Zaku aimed his wind blast at the ground, creating a massive sand cloud to appear all around him. Your turn, Dosu. With his Sharingan close to useless, Sasuke looked all around himself to see nothing but dust and sand. He had lost sight of Sakura as well. Shit, Sakura, get away, I'll fight all of them myself. That's when his opponent came barging at him, metallic arm aimed for his face. The Uchiha dodged by jumping over the bandaged guy and out of the dust cloud, only to see Zaku grinning at him. Zankuha. Sasuke pivoted in midair, barely avoiding the wind blast and landed on the ground, to see several bells immediately landing around him. It's over, Uchiha Sasuke. He heard Kin, the female member of the sound team, say from several meters behind him. That's when the bells around him started ringing. Meanwhile, Team 10 had dragged Sakura out of the fight. Orochimaru was thrown into a tree without mercy, with much force. What? How can a genin hit that hard? That could very well be harder than Tsunade hits. Panting, the snake-like man picked himself up between the splinters of what was once a tree bark. Uzumaki Naruto, I know you're not related to the first Hokage, so how come you're so strong? Orochimaru, Naruto started, we won't be talking now. I see, you plan to take me down. The sound leader chuckled shortly as he was quickly healing his face from Naruto's punch. A second later, his killer intent washed over Naruto. How about I kill you, you meddlesome brat? Needless to say, Naruto wasn't impressed by the killer intent at all. Thus, his reaction was to close the distance between himself and Orochimaru and kick him in the ribs, only to grab the almost flying Orochimaru by the left leg, to throw him hard into the ground. Unforgiving, the blonde continued holding on to Orochimaru's leg and continued to flatten the ground with him. No mercy for the wicked, Naruto chanted as he started swinging Orochimaru into a nearby boulder, watching the huge stone break. You are the one who'll cause me a lot of trouble. There was no time to do any replacement technique, the boy was just too fast, all the damage he dealt to him, was truly dealt. Orochimaru slowly managed to rise to his feet and stare at his opponent. What? How can you be so fast and so strong? Guess. Orochimaru's eyes widened as Naruto was now behind him and used a Rasengan in his back. Tumbling in the air, Orochimaru was again thrown into a tree. Impossible, the snake nin shouted as he jumped up. It seems I'll have to get truly serious with you. Naruto, still infused with Sage and Kyuubi Chakra, growled. Bring it. Kachiyose no jutsu. Orochimaru yelled, now standing on top of a giant snake. Immediately, the snake lunged downwards to Naruto, ready to swallow the little genin up. Only to be stopped by a single hand, Naruto's single hand. Orochimaru watched in shock as Naruto threw him and the snake away like it was a small pebble. What? This is not happening. Dispelling his summon, Orochimaru did a set of hand seals. Sene Yashu. Countless snakes came from out of Orochimaru's sleeves, ready to attack the blonde, but again, he was shocked to see the snakes burn away as soon as they approached Naruto. I see, Kyuubi's chakra is protecting you. Fuden, Renkuden no Jutsu. Orochimaru was appalled to see a shadow clone to his left, right, front and back a second later, all of them performing the same wind release technique. He looked up to see a fifth clone performing the Renkuden as well. The 5 wind blasts were shot straight at Orochimaru's body. As the smoke cleared, Naruto dispelled his clones to see no Orochimaru where the wind techniques hit. Shit! He went underground. In Sage mode, he could still sense Orochimaru's chakra. He travels fast underground, but not as fast as me. He then cursed as he sensed something. Immediately, he released Sage mode and let the Kyuubi chakra rest.
At the same time, a message seemed to come through one of his shadow clones. Sasuke's caught in a genjutsu, huh? I'm sure he'll be fine. Besides, Shikamaru's team will probably help him and Sakura out, anyway. The blonde seemed to say to himself. He then faced upwards. I can sense you.
Mitarashi Anko jumped down and landed in front of the blonde. You drove Orochimaru away? Naruto shrugged. He knew Anko hadn't seen the fight. Was that his name? I guess I got lucky, then. Lucky doesn't quite describe what you were, kid. He probably sensed me arriving. Anko sighed. Which way did he go? Naruto seemed to ponder if he could leave Orochimaru to this woman and risk letting the snake escape, but realized he didn't really have a choice. She's suspicious of me and expects me to get back to my team. And so he pointed to the direction Orochimaru was traveling to underground. Get back to your team, brat. It's dangerous for a single genin during exams like these. She let out as she started jumping away. Naruto took a look at her leaving and then turned towards the direction his team was. Might as well check how Sasuke's doing. Genjutsu, huh? Sakura heard her teammate mutter through the clearing. She had been dragged into a tree by Ino and Shikamaru seconds after the fight had started. Choji had been guarding them as they were doing so. What the hell is he thinking? Shikamaru whispered as he watched the fight below. He's up against 3 sound nin. And their leader's not someone to take lightly. He turned to Sakura. I'm not going to help your teammate, Sakura. The pink-haired girl swallowed deeply before she turned back to the fight. He doesn't need any help. She didn't sound too sure of herself. Don't worry. They promised not to kill him, right? All of Team 10 and Sakura turned their heads rapidly and were surprised to see Naruto standing on the same tree branch they were standing on. Impossible. It's like he appeared out of nowhere. The young Nara thought and noticed he had appeared very close to Sakura. Since when can you sneak up on people? Ino screeched, in whisper mode. You're so different. Choji let out as he shook his head. The Akamichi turned back to the fight. Look, something's happening.
I thought you knew I had the Sharingan. Sasuke had started walking towards the girl, Kin. Dosu was still standing in the smoke cloud, while Zaku seemed interested in what the Uchiha was doing. My eyes can see the chakra for your genjutsu and all I have to ignore is the sound your bells are making. As long as I have these eyes, I can always see what's really happening. The young Avenger then disappeared and reappeared behind Kin and kicked her towards Zaku, who just chuckled and held his arms out. Zankuaha.
Not able to believe it, Sasuke stood rooted to the ground as Zaku was aiming at him through Kin's body. Gotcha, you bastard. Kin came barreling straight into Sasuke's body, pinning both of them into a tree behind them. Good work, Zaku. Dosu complimented as he was quickly approaching Sasuke and Kin. Sasuke quickly pushed the now unconscious Kin aside and barely dodged Dosu's attack. Jumping away from the metal arm-wearing guy, he landed safely away from both Dosu and Zaku. 1 down, 2 to go, he said, only to suddenly see his world blur and feel a headache unlike any he ever felt before. Dropping to his knees, he couldn't help but vomit. It is over now, Uchiha Sasuke. Dosu snorted shortly as he was walking towards his target. You weren't too bad. If we were to fight one-on-one, perhaps your chances of victory would be slightly higher. Zaku was picking up Kin, while Dosu seemed to have turned to the tree the others were in. Uzumaki Naruto. I have promised not to kill and you kept your promise of not interfering. As thanks, since we have more, I will leave you this earth scroll. Naruto jumped out of the tree and landed in front of Dosu. Thanks. Dosu nodded once and took a look at the still vomiting Sasuke. He will be fine in a few moments. He took a look at Zaku carrying Kin. We will leave now. As the sound nin left, Naruto walked towards Sasuke and patted him on the back. Not bad, Sasuke. Shut up. The Uchiha managed as he rose. I'll defeat him next time. Yeah, the blonde had noticed that Sakura was already approaching them. Team 10 remained in the tree. Now that we have both scrolls, we might as well turn back to the tower. Hold up. Sakura was supporting Sasuke, while Naruto turned to Shikamaru, Ino and Choji who had now jumped out of the tree. We need the Heaven Scroll and you have one. Now that I don't have to fight Sasuke-kun, I'm sure we'll be able to handle just you and Sakura, since, Ino grinned. You're already caught by Shikamaru's shadow.
It's troublesome, but we need to get through these exams. The Nara explained.
Shikamaru, I'm also a shadow clone, and Shikamaru was astounded to see the shadow clone able to move, let alone point at something behind him. So are all of them. Ino, Shikamaru and Choji turned to see about 30 of Naruto's clones behind them. You don't want to fight us now, do you? Sighing, Shikamaru released his cage mane. It was worth a try. Naruto chuckled and dispelled all of his clones. And to think, the real me isn't even anywhere close to this place. Team 10 looked petrified when he said this. This guy, this Naruto, I feel bad for him, now that Gaara's looking for him. Well, maybe they're just gonna talk. Tamari offered as she and Kankuro were walking behind Gaara. Of course, they were whispering. Naruto's a Jinchuriki too, you know? What? Kankuro screeched in whisper mode. How do you know, and why haven't you told me anything? Tamari looked at the ground for a moment. He is different from Gaara. I feel like I can trust him. Tamari. I can't believe you're trusting a Konaha nin. Especially someone who's the same as Gaara. Kankuro yelled, still in whisper mode. Both of them momentarily looked at their younger brother in front of them, to make sure he hadn't heard anything. Look, I've spoken to him. He says he can help Gaara. The puppeteer stared at his sister. Since when do you speak to people? You're either attacking them, meaning you're beating their asses, or you're ignoring them and at the same intimidating them. You don't know me well enough, I guess. Tamari snorted. Let's just wait and see what happens. This Naruto might actually be able to do something. Kankuro chuckled shortly. Yeah, he might be able to survive a few seconds longer than Gaara's average victim. Ah, you could give me a little more credit. Kankuro and Tamari both jumped as Naruto was suddenly walking in between them. What the hell? Kankuro managed loudly, as he landed on his butt. Naruto. Tamari simply landed on her feet, a few feet away from the other blonde. Yo. The Leaf Nin copied his teacher in greeting manners. Naruto. The three shinobi all turned their heads to see that Gaara was now glaring at the new arrival. To their surprise, Gaara's siblings saw hesitation in Gaara's body language. As he shook his head, Gaara made up his mind. Die. Sabaku Q. I won't hold back, Gaara. Naruto stated as he held out a hand. Futen, Gufu Suihedo. A powerful swirling wind blast shot out from Naruto's palm, making Gaara's sand attack shoot out in different directions. To Gaara's shock, Naruto's horizontal tornado went through his desert coffin and actually sent him into a tree. Panting and helping himself up, he watched as his shield of sand was too weak for that attack. How? He wasn't really hurt, since his shield took most of the damage, but he was still feeling pain. I want to talk, but it seems I'll have to beat you up a bit. Within a second, Naruto's eyes were like those of a frog. Within that same second, Naruto was behind Gaara and hit him hard in the stomach. Gaara was introduced to a whole new world of pain as Naruto continued his assault with another hit in his stomach. Dropping to his knees, Gaara managed to look up at the blonde. How can you be this strong? The red-haired boy found he couldn't stand up because of the pain of those two hits. His opponent was that much stronger. Tamari and Kankuro were both staring at the one-sided match with their eyes wide and their mouths open. I need you to be my ally, Gaara. In complete contrast of the situation, Naruto bowed once. I am strong and I can make you strong as well. Follow my lead, Gaara, as a fellow Jinchuriki who knows the world of pain. The blonde held out a hand. Are you ready to talk now? The end. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.